Already mic testing, mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Alright, we're live. And as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, today I'm going to be working with keyboard controls in C++ using SDL3. That's it. Last stream I did go over on how to draw shapes in SDL3 using C++. I went through that honestly for like 3 whole streams in a row. That's it. I'm going to be learning on how to move, automate those things. Actually, not automate them, move them using user inputs or like keyboard inputs. Okay, that's it. Let's go to my gameplay screen. Okay, and let's say something like, let's say, I'm live, exclamation. Okay, let's see. And guys, if I can't read slash type properly, it's because I'm not warmed up. Plus, my fingers are kind of frozen. That's it. I am going to be trying to talk a little slow this stream. Okay, that's it. Listen up, people, and all who dare to watch. Today is not just another stream. Today is a battlefield of logic. Let me just get OBS out. There we go. Okay, today is not just another stream. Today is a battlefield of logic and code. Your fingers are the sword. Your mind is your fingers are the sword, your mind the forge, and C++ the weapon of your choice. Every line you write is a strike against weakness. Every compilation error is a test of will, and by the end of the stream, you won't just be drawing shapes. You'll be commanding them like general commands his army. Okay, now Sarah Sensei stands ready. Let's master the art of keyboard controls in SDL3, the techniques that breathes life into the motion. Alright, people, here's what we're doing today. Okay, so firstly, we're gonna make a shape. Okay, move using keyboard input first before anything moves. Guys, I can't read probably. What's wrong? There we go. You need to draw a static shape on the screen. Something simple like a rectangle or a circle. Once that's done, we'll connect it to the keyboard so it responds to your commands. Let's start with the basics. You must understand first. SDL handles keyboard events through its event system. Inside your main loop, SDL3 constantly checks the user input, mouse, keyboard, controller, etc. Okay, you catch those with structure. So we go with SDL underscore event. So a SDL underscore event is a structure that has a event local variable. Basically, the structure consists like all the events that is there in SDL3. Okay, if event type equals to quit, we said is running to be equal to false. This is inside of our event loop, by the way. And then else if our event type equals to event key down, okay, a key was pressed, we do something else if event.type equals to key up, key was released, okay. For example, event.key sym equals to SDLK, okay, key W. I'm assuming that is SDL key W, although I didn't understand what does the event key. So okay, event key, I think I got this. What does the key sym mean? I honestly have never heard of that. Move upwards and then event.key sym equals to SDL key underscore S. Okay, our y-axis is gonna increase by 5, which means move down. And then if our key sym equals to SDL key is A, move to the left, and then if SDLK is D, move to the right. Okay, that's how we control movement in response to key presses. Your first task, pupil. Before we even move, you must draw a single rectangle or any shape you like at a fixed position. Say the center of the screen. It must be visible, properly rendered, and the window must stay open until the user closes it. Once you have done that, I'll teach you how to bind your keyboard to that shape to move it around. Okay, to move it around live. Alright, now go draw your shape and send your code to me once you're done. Let's see if you still remember how to make your rectangle exist. Okay guys, I think I can't read probably because my throat is kind of frozen right now. It's kind of cold out here. That said, this is the code from last stream. Okay, I didn't have time to like work on this off stream, but I'm thinking instead of making a rectangle, I do want to try making a triangle because that's a bit more challenging. That said, let's start off by deleting everything. And firstly, let me go ahead and include a pair of ankle braces. What are you doing? Honestly, today I'm working on keyboard controls in SDL3 using C++ because like like last stream and like I think for about 3 streams I've been like drawing objects on the shape. Today I've been drawing objects on SDL3 in the window. That's it. Today I want to move the objects using keyboard, if that made any sense, guys. Okay, so firstly, let's start off by including a pair of ankle braces. I want to include IO stream. Okay, and then let's go ahead and include another pair of ankle braces. Since I am going to be using SDL, let's go ahead and include SDL3 slash SDL.h. Okay, alright guys, ignore the background voices. That said, let me go ahead and create a main function. So I'll go with something like integer main, add a pair of parentheses. And now my main function is going to be requiring a few parameters. Let's say the first parameter is going to be an integer of argc. The second parameter is going to be a character of argv, which is going to be an array. So basically a pointer to an array. And then I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Now inside of my main function, let's go, oh, C++. Honestly, I did C++. That's it. Now inside of my main function, firstly, let's go ahead and initialize SDL and also check if SDL was not initialized properly. To do that, I could go ahead and add a comment that says something like, honestly, I might not add a comment. Instead, I'll just go with something like an if statement. I'll go with something like if SDL underscore init with a pair of parentheses, SDL underscore init underscore video. Basically, what this does is it initializes SDL and it returns 0 if SDL was initialized properly. But I'm looking for if it was not initialized properly. So I'll go with an exclamation here. Yo, bro, I'm back hiding. Shash, is that how you pronounce your name? I appreciate you joining the stream. That said, I'll go with the pair of curly braces here. And now, if SDL was not initialized properly, firstly, I'm going to add a standard C error with an insertion operator. This is going to give me, let's say, something like an SDL underscore init error. Okay, and then let's go in a new line. Now I'm going to be adding another insertion operator. This time, let's go ahead and get myself an error. So I'm going to use the SDL underscore get error function. This is going to get me an error. Next up, I'll go with an insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. There we go. Alright, next up, I'm going to be returning 1 saying that something went wrong here. Alright, perfect. Now that I've initialized SDL and checked if SDL was not initialized properly, I'm going to go ahead and do something else. His model. Honestly, I'm not like a model. That said, I am like actually what you would call it. I used to like model before. Like I used to like make a few models for like games and all that stuff because I did like enjoy doing that. That said, I think like I do enjoy programming more than modeling these days. Okay, that's it. Now let's go ahead and create a window and a renderer. So I'll go ahead and add a comment that says something like create window and renderer. Okay, and since I am creating my window and renderer at the same time, I'm going to be creating 2 local variables for the structures of my window and renderer. Okay, to do that, I could go with something like SDL underscore windows as structure. I'm going to be having a pointer to a window variable or a window local variable, which is going to be equal to null PDR for the time being. That's basically a placeholder. Okay, and then let's go ahead and add a SDL underscore renderers structure as well. This is gonna this SDL underscore renderers structure actually consists all the attributes for my renderer. That's it. I'm going to create whatchamacallit. My structure is going to be a pointer towards my renderer local variable. Guys, I still don't know how to phrase this part. It feels kind of complicating. Okay, that's it. This is going to be set to null PDR as well. Basically a placeholder. Ending with a semicolon. Now that I've created the 2 local variables, let's go ahead and use the actual function that does actually create my window and renderer. My model's accuracy is 82. Just tell me what the best accuracy is. Honestly, I haven't ever thought of that. Okay, that's it. Let me go ahead and use the SDL underscore create window and renderer function. Basically, what the create window and renderer function does is it like creates my window and renderer at the same time. Although it does require a few parameters. The first parameter is going to be a title slash a caption. So I could go with something like SDL3 window created title. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to add a comma. Now I'm going to be needing a width and a height for a window as the second and third parameter. That said, honestly, instead of like just giving raw hardcore numbers, I might actually add another comment that says something like game variables. Okay, these are going to be my game variables that I'm going to be using. The first could be something like a constant integer variable of, let's say, something like width. This is going to be my Windows' width. I'll set that to be something like 800 ending with a semicolon. And then let's go with something like constant integer of height. This is going to be my Windows' height. That is going to be something like 600 ending with a semicolon. Okay, now instead of going with 800 and 600 here, I could go with my width variable and my height variable. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to be needing a flag as well. Basically, window flags are like different, different kind of things that you could actually add for your window. For example, if I don't want any flag, I could just set my flag to be 0. In the other hand, if I want my window to be resizable, I could use a flag that helps my window be resizable, where I could extend it or like decrease the size as well. To do that, I could use the SDL underscore window underscore resizable. Okay, this is basically a flag that helps my window be resizable, so I can like increase the size or like decrease the size. Next up, the final two variables is going to be my window and my renderer variables is memory address. To do that, I could go with something like an ampersand or a address of operator for my window variable, and then a ampersand or a address of operator for my renderer variable. Okay, perfect. Now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and end my entire function with a semicolon. Alright, perfect. Now I did like use a function that creates my window and render, but in case I mess something up in the code, I would want to add a if statement to check if the code is working properly, and if it's not, I'm going to give myself an error. To do that, I could go with something like if a pair of parentheses. I'm going to check if my window local variable was not created properly, so I'll go with something like exclamation window, and then I'll add something like two pipelines, or if my window was not created properly, or my renderer was not created properly. Alright guys, this is going to be lowercase. There we go. Okay, so if either my window or my renderer was not created properly, I'm going to do something. Firstly, I'll go with something like a standard C error with an insertion operator. This is going to give me an error. Honestly, I might go in a new line because like the error name is kind of big, guys. Okay, so I'm going to go with something like SDL underscore create window. There we go, create window and renderer error. Guys, I feel like these function names are like massive. There we go. So this is basically my function name, and I said something went wrong with this function. Go check it out. And then I'll go with another insertion operator that gets me an error. So I could use the SDL underscore to get... What up guys, there we go. SDL underscore get error function that actually gets me an error. Then I'll go with another insertion operator of a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Okay, perfect. Alright, next up, if my window or my renderer, was not actually created properly, firstly, I'm going to be quitting my SDL. So I'll go with something like SDL underscore quit with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon, and then let's go ahead and return 1. So I'm going to go ahead and return 1. And now, okay, that's honestly pretty much it for my create window and renderer. Next up, let's go ahead and add another comment. This time, since I am going to be creating triangles, I might have to add a few vertices. Honestly, if I was like creating a rectangle, I wouldn't need vertices. I would like need its width and height. That's it. I feel like triangle is more challenging, so I might go with something like a triangle properties. There we go. Okay, now for my triangle properties, I'm going to do a few things. Let's see. Maybe firstly, I could go ahead and create vertices. So let's go with something like, I forgot the function name. I think it was something like SDL underscore R line. I think it was something like R line. Basically, this is going to create a line. Was it R line? My bad, guys. It was F line. There we go. Was it F line? What up, guys? Let's go with Shift Tab. It should have been something like a line. Game developer. Honestly, basically, I'm not like actually an actual game dev, but I have been like making a lot of game related content and everything, like these codes and everything, because I do feel like we do learn much better when we like actually practice it and like actual working stuff. I feel like game programs are kind of more complex than the regular ones. That said, what was this called? I'm pretty sure it was something like SDL. So let's go with SDL underscore F rect. This is for my rectangle. Although if I wanted to go with a line, I'm pretty sure it was something like F line, right? What up, guys? I'm pretty sure this was F line. Let's go with something like SDL shift space. Let's see if there's something like F. Hold up, let me add a F here. Is there something like a F line? There's color. Okay, these are F recs, that is F event. Isn't there something like F line? F point. I think it was F point. Okay, I'm pretty sure it was F point. Okay, let's see what does this require. Does it require x-axis, y-axis, width and height? Okay, this is going to be having a parameter. Let's say for maybe vertices 1. Okay, which is going to be equal to, let's see. Okay, so what are parameters does it require? I think, Jeevan, is that your Finance name? I appreciate you joining this stream. Are you a college student or a dropout? Honestly, I am like a freshman in college. I did like start like a few months ago. That's it. Hold up, guys. Let me actually get Zute/ChatGPT here. Okay, wait. Let me actually copy this part for my triangles property. Let's go with Control-A, Control-C real quick. Guys, I actually forgot the function name for like the triangle. Let me go ahead and paste that real quick. Go with Shift Enter and say something like, let's say I think that's I forgot the structure name. Forgot the structure name for adding triangles. Dot dot dot. Uh, can you remind me what it was? Question mark. Okay, honestly, I remember. I remember. Let's go with something like I remember. I had to add 3 lines slash vertices. There we go, guys. I should work on my typos actually. Okay, that's it, huh? You're already slipping up. Don't you dare forget that sacred geometry of triangles. Unacceptable. So it was not render filled rectangle. Okay, it was SDL underscore F point that needed a x-axis and a y-axis, which is a floating point number. Okay, I think I was correct. Then I had to render my line. There we go. Okay, I think that jogged my memory up. Okay, what are you coding? Honestly, basically, I am like actually learning on how to use keyboard controls. For example, I have a shape in my object. I want to move that shape using keyboard buttons, if that made any sense. Okay, next up, let's go ahead and add a few points. So firstly, I could go with something like 300F is going to be my x-axis. So there we go. And then I'll go with something like 400.0 floating point number. Okay, let's go with something like 0.0 here. And guys, I might have to like copy the coordinates because like I do not remember these numbers. Okay, so it's 400, 200, 300, 400, 500, 400. Okay, hold up guys, let's get that in the next next monitor because I do not remember coordinates actually. That's it. Let's scroll all the way down. So there we go. Okay, so firstly I needed this had to be 400, that had to be 200. So I'll go with something like 400.0f. This is going to be something like 200. I'll go with 200.0f as well. Okay, ending with a semicolon. Now let's go with the second vertices. So I'll go with something like SDL underscore F point. And usually when you guys do like make a triangle, do you guys get like these coordinates like online or something? Because I feel it'd be like a big of a chore to actually memorize them. That said, next up, what was the next coordinates that I needed? I needed 300 and 400. Okay, this is Python. Honestly, it is C++. That said, let's go with something like 300. So I'll go with something like 300.0f. And then I'll need 400.0f. So I'll go with 400.0f, ending with a semicolon. And then I'll go with something like SDL underscore F point. This is going to be my vertices 3. Basically my third line because like triangle does consist of 3 lines. Hiding long story, I appreciate you joining the stream. Which is going to be equal to, let's see. This time I might go with 500F and 400.0F. So I need 500.0F and 400.0F. There we go. Okay, perfect. And that's honestly pretty much it for my triangle properties. Now that I'm done with creating the properties, let's go ahead and add a comment that says something like main loop. So this is going to be my main loop. Now, inside of my main loop, I'm going to be needing 2 variables. The first variable is going to be a Boolean variable is running. There we go. Which is going to be set to true initially. And then since I am going to be like looking for events, I might have to add an event variable as well. Hey bro, how long? How you doing? Love from Antarctica. Honestly, I appreciate you, Abe. I'm doing pretty good. How you doing? That's it. I'll go with something like SDL underscore event. This is going to be a structure to my event local variable ending with a semicolon. Now let's go ahead and add a while loop. So I'll go with something like while is running. While my program is running or while my is running is set to true, I'm going to do something. Okay, honestly, I'm going to be adding an event loop first. So that is another while loop. Basically a while loop inside of a while loop slash a nested loop. So I'll add a comment here that says something like event loop. Okay, now for my event loop, firstly, I'm going to be adding a while loop here. So I'll go with something like while a of parentheses. Now, instead of going with while is running again, I'm going to go with something like while SDL underscore poll event. Basically, what the poll event function does is like it checks for all the events that I'm looking for. And whenever an event is clicked, it's going to be actually executing that event. In the other times when that event is not clicked, the loop won't be working. Okay, it's not Python. Honestly, it's not Python. It's C++. Okay, so this is going to be having my memory address for my event variable. And then I'll go with the pair of curly braces. Okay, now inside of my event loop, the first event that I am going to be looking for is going to be, let's say if my event type is quit, if my player does exit my window. To do that, I could go with something like an if statement. So I'll go with if a pair of parentheses. I'll go with something like if my event type, if my event variable's type is equal to SDL underscore event underscore quit, then I'm going to do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces. That sets my is a running boolean variable to be equal to false ending with a semicolon. Okay, and honestly, I'm not going to be adding the keyboard controls just yet because I didn't learn much about it. I'm just drawing like a regular triangle on the screen. That said, since that's the case, I'm going to exit outside of my event loop / nested while loop. And now let's go ahead and add a comment that says something like fill screen. I do want to fill my screen with like signs so it looks much better. That said, so let's go ahead and firstly, okay, let's see, to fill my screen, firstly, I gotta actually set a color to my render. To do that, I could use a function, so I could go with something like SDL underscore set render draw color function. Basically, what the set render draw color function does is it like it says my render to set a it says my render to draw a color. Basically, guys, I can make this function make sense. Okay, that said, my set render draw color, whatchamacallit, function does require, I'm pretty sure, 5 parameters. Okay, so it does require, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it does require 5 parameters. The first parameter is going to be my render variables parameter that I did create up there. Second, third, and fourth parameter is going to be a RGB value. So since I want my background to be cyan, I'm going to go with something like 0, 248, and 255. There we go. Okay, perfect. What up, guys? The 248 doesn't need space. There we go. Okay, now lastly, I would need a alpha parameter / opacity. Do I want my object to be transparent? If yes, how transparent? If not, how not transparent? If I go with 245, that basically means that my color is not transparent at all. And then let's go ahead and my function with a semicolon. Okay, do you give coding contests like... Okay, do you give coding contests like Code Chief, or is it Code Chef? I think it's Code Chief or Lead Code. Or lead code. Honestly, I haven't actually participated into like actually actual coding like competition, all that stuff. That's it. I might actually do that. It sounds pretty fun. I actually really like programming, but I don't understand any of it. How did you learn how to do it? Okay, you're amazing at it. Honestly, I appreciate you, Puma. That's it. I did like have like a playlist where I did start SDL3 for the first time. I've been just learning on stream for the past few days because I do like studying for my college exams. That said, if you guys do want to see how I did start C++ as an absolute beginner, you guys could like go to my channel's playlist. It's also called like Programming for 250 series, where I did learn Python, C++ as an absolute beginner, and then I started moving my way up. I think it's been like 56 days or something like that. That said, after I set a render to draw a color, I'm going to fill my entire screen. To fill my screen, I could use the SDL underscore render clear function. Basically, what the render clear function does is it like clears my entire screen with the color that my render is set to. This does require a parameter of my render variable ending with a semicolon. Yay, guys, I'm actually not gay. Okay, that said, next up, after I'm done filling my screen, I'm going to add another comment that says something like graphics. Okay, basically, graphics is like anything that I draw on my screen. And since I am going to be drawing a triangle, firstly, I do want my triangle not to be cyan, so I have to like write this function again to change my renders' color. To do that, I could go with something like SDL underscore set render draw colors as function. Okay, with a pair of parentheses. Okay, why is he talking like that? Honestly, guys, I'm actually not gay. I feel like this is my actual voice. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Okay, so firstly, I'm going to be adding my render variable. Next up, I think that I want my triangle to be black color, so I might go with the RGB for black, which is 0, 0, 0. Okay, and then a alpha / opacity of 235. I don't want it to be transparent at all. Day 13 of asking you why you gay. Guys, I'm actually not gay. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Nobody talks like this dude, guys. I feel like I'm a unique talker. Okay, that's it. After I'm done with rendering or like setting a color to my render, I want to color my, my actual line. To do that, I could use, firstly, I need to draw a line. So I could go with the SDL underscore. I'm saying my render to render a line. There we go. With a pair of parentheses. Alright guys, this is going to be a tricky part. My render line does require a few parameters. First, my render local variables is parameter. Then x1, the starting point of my x-axis. y1, the starting point of my y-axis, x2, the ending point of my x-axis, and y2, the ending point of my y-axis. Honestly, that did sound pretty complicated, but I feel it is pretty easy. Technically, y1 is my vertices one, or like the vertices one that I created up here. Okay, dot x-axis, and then I'm going to add a comma here. Okay, honestly, I think I should go with offsets. So, what is the pronunciation? Vetro variable? I think it's pronounced as vetro variable. Okay, that said, bro, don't waste your life and time this all waste. Try to crank up. LOL something, bro, or IOI something. Also, no one cares like this in companies, dude. You're wasting your time, guys. I'm 17 years old. How's this called wasting? I feel like kids in my age, they like don't like prefer doing this stuff, but I am like trying to getting myself exposed to it. So I feel, guys, it is a pretty smart move. Okay, next up, under my game variables, let's go ahead and create a few offsets because I am creating triangles. So I'll go with something like offset underscore x-axis equals to 0, ending with a semicolon. Then I'll go with something like integer of offset underscore y-axis, which equals to 0 as well, ending with a semicolon. And while I am here, let's go ahead and create a few velocities as well. So I could go with something like a floating point. So let's go with something like floating point x-axis velocity, which is going to be equal to, honestly, I might go with like something like 4.0 f ending with a semicolon. And then I'll go with something like a floating point of y-axis underscore velocity, which is equal to something like 4.0 f as well, ending with a semicolon. Okay, perfect. Now let's go all the way down here, guys. While I'm actually saying that stuff, I am kind of thinking on what to do here because I did forget. It's been like a whole stream since I did this. That said, I'll go with something like my vertices 1.x-axis. That is my x1. I'm pretty sure I got to add it with my offset underscore x-axis. There we go. Okay, and then I have to add a comma and go with something like vertices 2. Wait, did I need to add a pair of curly braces here? I actually think I forgot. Okay, brother, what do you want to work on one day, like data scientist, game development, or robotics? I feel like I do want to work with AIs. Like, I like the concept of like creating robots and everything. Maybe someday in the future once I do. Okay, I was confused between either being a cybersecurity or like an AI engineer. I might either be one of those things. Okay, and guys, I just realized where I messed up here. Firstly, I do gotta give my renderer variable. Now I gotta give my vertices 1.x-axis. Okay, and then I'm gonna add a comma here. I'll go with something like vertices 1.y-axis. I'll add another comma here. That is my x1, y1. Now I'll go with something like x2 and y2. My x2 is going to be vertices 2.x-axis, and then something like vertices 2.y-axis, ending with a semicolon. Okay, perfect. And now, since a triangle has 3 lines, I'm going to add this, 3 times. So I'll go with something like SDL underscore render line. Then why don't you try machine learning? Honestly, I did want to actually do machine learning, but before that, I did like think like it'd be like a pretty cool series to actually make a game which consists of AI logic in it. For that, I did like start a programming for 250 day series. But my goal by the end of this current series, I'm like under that right now. My goal by the end of that series is to make a game in general which consists of AI logic in it. And since I thought that I was going to be making a game, I thought might as well learn C++ because it is like the best language to make a game. Okay, the data scientist is the way. Oh, I see. Okay, literally, if you program like this in a company, they'll kick you the next day. Currently, companies expect to deliver an app in 2 to 5 days. Guys, it's been like, whatchamacallit, I think it's been like 7 days since I, started SDL. I feel like my progress is being pretty good, guys. Okay, that's it. First of all, stop talking like gay, bro. Talk like a man and do something useful with your life, guys. I feel this is pretty useful. Okay, that's it. For my second line, I'll go with something like a renderer. Now, I'm going to be needing an x1. This time, my x1 is going to be my vertices 2.x-axis, so where the first line ends, I'm going to start from that line. And then my y1 is going to be vertices 2.y-axis. And then let's go with something like vertices 3.x-axis and vertices... okay, let's go with something like vertices 3.y-axis. Alright, perfect. Ending with a semicolon. Now let's go ahead and add our final line, because like a triangle does have 3 lines. So I'll go with something like SDL underscore render line with a pair of parentheses. This is going to be my render variable. And now I'm going to be starting my line where my previous line ended. My previous line did end at vertices 3. So I'm going to go with something like vertices 3.x-axis is my starting point now. And then vertices 3.y-axis is my, y-axis is starting point. And I'm going to be ending from where I initially began. So vertices 1.x-axis and vertices 2.x-axis. Okay, perfect. And then let's go ahead and end this with a semicolon. You're so dedicated. Honestly, I appreciate your long story for that. That actually means a lot. Okay, yeah, and haters like you will do anything but be nice, guys. It actually does make sense. So I did like stop reading the comments because like until like last year I used to like read the comments a lot, but I felt like that did distract me / you guys also so much. So I think it's like better if I do like avoid reading the comments. Okay, it's not hate man, it's speaking the truth. Honestly, it does make sense. That said, now that I've done creating a line, I think that's like pretty much it for my graphics. I'm not going to be adding automation to like actually automate my triangle. That said, I am going to be, let's say, presenting it on my screen. So I'll go with something like present to present it, I might go with something like SDL underscore render present. This function basically presents my render on the screen so you guys could actually see my colors, ending with a semicolon. Okay, dude has so much enthusiasm. Someone got him properly. Okay, let's see. Next up, after I'm done presenting it, now, once my user actually exits, so I'm going to exit outside of my initial while loop, and now once my user actually exits the entire window and my event loops, my event types, quit type actually is true and my is running is set to false, I'm going to work on some cleanup, so I'll go with something like cleanup. Now, for my cleanup, firstly, let's go ahead and do something. I might honestly go with something like SDL underscore destroy window. Once my user quits the game, I want to destroy my window first, so I'll go with something like destroy window with a pair of parentheses. This is going to be my window variable ending with a semicolon. Just learning should be fun. Honestly, I feel like it is kind of fun. That's it. I'll go with something like SDL underscore quit with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon as well. Then let's go ahead and return 0 saying everything went perfectly. Now, if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. So let's get some Sensei/ChatGPT here. Actually, not Sensei, which we call it, the second, this thing. Alright guys, I feel like something did mess up with my triangle. It does not look like a whole triangle. Yo, not been here for a while, but hi. Howdy, Jotham, and I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, so that is like a kind of broken triangle. Did I like mess my triangles' proportion somewhere? What up, guys? That is vertices 1's x-axis, vertices 2's x-axis, xy, vertices 3, vertices. There we go. This should have been vertices 1.x-axis. Guys, I should like work on my typos. Now for it, Control S to save the code and run the command. Let's see what happens. So let's get our first terminal here. Alright guys, now this just shows an L. Where'd my second line disappear to? Okay, so this is a vertices 2.x-axis, vertices 2.y-axis, okay, and then 3.x-axis, 3.y-axis. That's vertices 3.x-axis. Okay, so it begins at vertices 3, ends at vertices 1. Okay guys, this should be y-axis. I should work on my typos. I have like so many typos, I feel like. Okay, there we go. Let's get my first terminal here. And second here, guys, finally a perfect triangle. Okay, yes, earning so much and still sad. Keep fire, keep going. What are you making? Honestly, I am like learning on how to like make a shape here and now move the shape with like keyboard presses. That's like my event loops. Okay, that's it. Let's go with something like Control A, Control C, copy that. Let's get some Sensei/ChatGPT here. Okay, let's get that all the way there and now extend it here as well. Okay, let's go ahead and extend it all the way from here too. Okay, maybe I zoom in a bit. Okay, now let's go ahead and paste it. So maybe go all the way down. Okay, let's go with Shift Enter and actually extend it. Okay, yes, people, I've seen you drawn your first triangle. Good, it stands proud like a warrior waiting for commands. Hope you're having fun. A good day, bro. Excuse me, guys. Honestly, I appreciate you, Michael. Okay, you need to know why you're using that. Don't just go with something. Honestly, it does make sense. I do usually understand why I use it, but then sometimes I do make a lot of typos, guys. I feel like I should work on my typos. That's it. You've done almost everything right, but before I teach you stuff, okay, you've done almost everything right, but before we teach it to move with keystrokes, you must understand keyboard input, about how keyboard input works in SDL. Listen carefully. In SDL3, keyboard input is handled through events inside your event loop, okay? If event.type equals to SDL underscore event underscore key down was pressed if event.type is key up, okay? Each event carries information about which key was pressed or released inside event.key.keysim.sim. Guys, what does keysim.sim mean? I remember doing the same project years ago. Oh, that actually does sound pretty cool. Okay, that's it. For example, if event.key.keysym.sym, honestly, what does sym.sym mean? Okay, equals to SDL key W move up. Okay, if it is key S, move down. If it's A, move left. If it's D, move right. Okay, so if you talk like a game, the viewers will kick you out, bro. Honestly, I'll actually wait for that, guys. Okay, that's it. Now, here's your instructional challenge. Modify your current program so when you pass WASD, your triangle moves smoothly in that direction. Hints, not answers. You want to adjust 3 vertices, vertices 1, vertices 2, and vertices 3 by some offset. Okay, when a key is pressed, so vertices 1.x-axis plus equals, so I'm pretty sure that is going to be offset x, and this is going to be offset y depending on your direction. keep drawing the triangle after moving. Once you've got it working, your triangle will obey you. Okay, so the function is event.key.key sym.sym. What does the sym mean, guys? Okay, if you were a man, you would not be talking like that. Okay, like learn to speak like cartoons. Honestly, I haven't like heard of cartoons. Is it like YouTube or something? Okay, okay, I do see. So event.key.key sym.sym. Okay, let me actually try remembering that while I actually write this. That does go under my event loop. So I'm going to exit outside of my if statement and let's add another if statement. I'll go with something like if a bro parentheses. Okay, why all these hating like they do some with their lives? God, that actually does make sense. That's the reason I didn't like stop replying to the comments. I feel it's kind of funny at this point. Okay, next up, I'll go with something like if my event.type equals to, let's go with something like, I did forget, what was it? I think it was something like, okay, maybe I might go with something like if my event.key sym .sym. I want to see what does the sym mean. Okay, so this is SDL keyboard event has no member key sym. Wait, isn't this what Sensei/ChatGPT did? Okay, why is everyone angry in the chat, guys? I feel like that's just chat, like that's like everyday's common chat at this point. Okay, that said, do I need to go with something like if event.type equals to, okay, each event carries information if a key was pressed, if a key was released. When do I add these in that case? What up, guys? Let's go with something like Control-A, Control-C, copy that. So let's get Sensei/ChatGPT back here. Okay, I don't get this. What is this coding? Honestly, I'm learning how to move shapes using like keyboard events. Eventually, I will be moving PNGs as well. That's let me say something like Sensei. I feel like I already messed up before I even started! Exclamation. In my event loop, how do I start using the event checks question mark? Guys, let me hydrate my lips real quick. I feel it's kind of dehydrated. What up, guys? Okay, good. That panic you feel, that's the sound of your brain waking up. You didn't mess up, people. You just reached the gate between static art and living mentions. I see. Are you a bot? Honestly, I'm not a bot. Okay, that's it, bro. I'm literally asking you a Q. Is this computer science? Honestly, this is like programming. I think that does come under computer science. Now, inside your event loop, you already have if event.key.key sym. That line of event.key.key sym is, excuse me, guys, is incomplete. You're trying to check which key was pressed, but first you need to check what type of event occurred. Okay, so I gotta go with something like if event.type equals to SDL underscore SDL underscore event underscore key down, and we did use cases here. Switch, so we use switches, my bad, guys. Event.key, so if event.key.key sym.sym, I'm going to move it up. Oh, I see, so it's a nested if loop. It's a nested this thing. Okay, so alright, next up, let's go ahead and break here. And then the second case is if my key is S, I'm going to move down and then break. My third case, so this is the whole thing is for key down. What about key up? Oh, I see. Okay, so while my key is being pushed down, this actually does make sense now. So while my keyboard button is being pushed down, I'm going to be moving around. Okay, I think I see. And this is going to be kind of fun as well, because like it's been a while since I used like match cases. Okay, so move up, I break. Why did I just go with something like SDL underscore KW? Oh, I think I see. What up, guys? I actually think I see. Let's go ahead and delete this whole thing now. Okay, let's go ahead and add something like a new if statement. So I'll go with something like big fan, you're the next Elon Musk. Honestly, I appreciate you, Sai. Okay, if you really like to learn coding, then how to add a debugger and inspect elements. Honestly, I haven't like tried adding the debugger, because like I do have options here. One of the options did like say me to like use the debugger or something. I haven't like figured that out though. Okay, that's it. I'll go with something like if my event variable dot type, let's go with something like if my event dot type equals to, let's go with something like SDL underscore, I forgot what it was, SDL underscore event okay underscore key. Okay, what was it? Was it key down? SDL underscore event underscore key down. There we go. Okay, if that is the case, I'm going to do something. Now guys, this is where the new stuff comes. I haven't like worked with switches in a while, so I'll go with something like switch. Uh, there we go. Okay, so I'll go with something like switch, of parentheses. I'll go with something like event.key sym, okay, dot sym. Alright guys, this is, did I like type this correctly? Okay, yes, we're slaves to corporate, huh? Okay, so, okay, next up, let's go with something like another dot. If this is something like key down, hold up guys, I forgot this part. Hello, how's your day going? How you doing, comrade? I appreciate you joining the stream. I feel like my day is going pretty good. That's it guys, I'm trying to figure this part out. I did add this. If my event.key sym, I do something. Okay, if my case is SDL key W, then I move upwards. Okay, I might not need a dot and I'll go with the pro of curly braces. Wait guys, did I do something wrong here? Should I add like a case or something? Okay, it is SDL event.key. Okay, so he's super dumb. Honestly guys, that does make sense. That's it. Hold up guys, let's get Sensei/ChatGPT back here. Where am I messing up? So I went with event.key sym. I wrote the exact same thing and then I went with the pair of curly braces. Okay, hold up. This pair of curly braces, where does it end? So this starts all the way up there. It ends all the way up here. This is the if statement where it ends. Okay, so event.key sym. Okay, event.key sym. Guys, I feel like I did the exact same thing. Did I mess up? You memorize all the syntax? No, honestly, I do memorize because I feel like that's like the easiest way to actually figure stuff out. That's it. His goal is not to learn coding, it's to make us correct him by staying here. Okay, hi doing Roger. Appreciate you joining the stream. He earns money, guys. I feel like I actually don't earn money. That's it. I am kind of unemployed at the moment. That's it. Good night, bro. Honestly, I appreciate you joining the stream, Raj. I'll catch you next stream. Okay, are you guys bots burning each other? Guys, actually does make sense. Okay, where did I mess up here? I feel like the whole thing is correct. Do I need a key variable? What up guys? I think that might be the whatchamacallit, the case, because like in Python I had to like create a key variable as well. What up, let's go ahead and copy that real quick. So let's get Sensei/ChatGPT here. Okay, now let's go ahead and paste this, go with shift enter. I do have a question. Let's say something like, say, I feel like okay, something feels messed up because did I need a different variable called keys question mark, and what does key sys mean? Okay guys, I'm kind of confused on this thing. Okay, good. Okay, good. You're asking the right questions, people. That confusion you feel is the edge of understanding the moment before everything clicks. Listen closely. You don't need a separate variable called keys. Okay, SDL already gives you everything you need for the event structure. Let's break this down. Event.key sym. It looks scary, but it's just a nested structure, a path to the key symbol you pressed. Here's what's happening. Event, the overall SDL event, could be quit event, okay, key, press, mouse, move, etc. Event.key, the part of the event that's specific to keyboard inputs. Okay, I think I see event.key.sym. Oh, okay, the sym is keyboard symbol data, so that is keyboard symbol data. Okay, I think I see, and then event.key sym, the actual key that was pressed. So sym is basically the the key that's being pressed. Okay, man can't type English probably, but he's coding line by line. Honestly guys, that does make sense, because like I am actually used, my muscle memory is used to like typing the coding function. That's why I do make a lot of typos when I actually like give a prompt out. That's it. So event.key.sym.sys literally means which key symbol was pressed during this event. So switch event.key.sym case SDL key W. Didn't I write this exact same thing? Hold up guys, so I did go with that exact same thing. So switch is event.key sym. Okay, if my case is SDL underscore W, so if my key is W, I'm gonna do something. Huh. Okay, hold up guys, let me actually, copy this exact part. I want to see like, is it just me that's doing something wrong, and like, am I making a typo that I still can't see? Hold up guys, let's go ahead and paste this. Okay, it still shows me a red underline. I might go with something like control C again. Let's get some /chat here. Okay, now let me actually say that, say, okay, is this the code from SDL3 question mark? Because, okay, let's go with something like, because I see a red underline. Guys, the chat GPT says, say it does do this something like I do get the codes like from SDL1/SDL2. Okay, that's it. Good catch, people. That's your instinct sharpening. Yes, your structure is correct, but the problem is some functions and constant names are changed between SDL2 and 3. No wonder it wasn't working, guys. I was like, I did it correct. Okay, and your IDE is probably confused because SDL3 reorganized a few headers and APIs. Okay, the code logic here, all the event.key.tsym.sym part is valid in SDL3, but some name differ slightly, or your editor might still be set up for SDL2 headers, not SDL3 headers. Okay, and then we have our event loop. So, okay, notice change. There we go. Okay, I did not need the key SYM. I just had to go with if event.key.key. Notice changing. Notice change here. Okay. Okay, guys, I feel like this might work. If my case is SDL k_w, my vertices 1.y-axis decreases by 5, vertices 2.y-axis decreases by 5, and vertices 3.y-axis does decrease by 5 as well. Excuse me, guys. Okay, work is part of life. Oh, I see. Unhappy with work, not life. Huh, okay. Okay, that's it. I feel like there we go. That was the thing that was messing up. So I had to go with SDL_key SDL.key.key. That's the syntax for SDL3. Now, was the syntax different when it came to SDLKW as well? What up, guys? Let me get some /ChatGPT back here. Okay, so what was the second part? If my case is, okay, I did a pair of curly braces. If my case is SDL k_w, then I do something. So SDL k_w, I did do that. Why did I get like a red underline here? Okay, so let's see what it does actually. So SDL k_w renamed. Oh, so it's renamed to SDL k_uppercase w. Okay, let's change that to a uppercase w. Okay, perfect. Alright, now, okay, this actually makes more sense. The reason I wasn't like actually getting it right was because the syntax was wrong. That said, now, if my case is w, if my w key is pressed, firstly, I'm going to go with vertices 1.x-axis. I'm going to decrease it by, honestly, I'll decrease it by my, let's say, x-axis underscore velocity, ending with a semicolon. And then I'll go with vertices 1.y, actually, let's go with vertices 2.x-axis. I'm going to decrease that by my x-axis underscore velocity as well. And then vertices 3.x-axis is going to decrease by my x-axis underscore velocity as well, ending with a semicolon. Then I go ahead and break, and then now I go with case 2. Guys, this makes so much more sense because like usually I do like actually fact check way too much when I'm like learning function names and something is wrong. Because I feel like ChatGPT isn't like updated enough to like give me like actual SDL3 codes without like confirming that I like the functions is for SDL3 or like if the keywords are from SDL3. That said, let's go ahead and check if my SDL_key is something like, let's go with something like SDLKW. Actually, this time I'll go with something like KS. If my key S is, okay, if my S key is pressed, I'm going to be, let's say something like decreasing my vertices 1.y-axis by, let's say, my y-axis underscore velocity, ending with a semicolon, and then vertices 2.y-axis by my y-axis underscore velocity as well. And then I'll go with something like vertices 3.y-axis by my y-axis underscore velocity. I'll go with something like y velocity. Okay, I'm working hard to be my boss, guys. It actually does make a lot of sense. Okay, okay, is that condition in the first countries? I heard it's pretty chill in states. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now, for my fourth case, let's say if my, if my case is A. I forgot to break actually. Let's go ahead and break. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let's say add a case. Let's say something like SDL underscore. Actually, let's go with if my SDL key is A, then I'm going to do something. I want to go ahead and go to the left side. For going to the left side, I'm assuming I got to go with something like vertices 1.x-axis is going to increase by my x-axis underscore velocity, ending with a semicolon, and then vertices 2.x-axis is going to increase by my x-axis underscore velocity as well, ending with a semicolon. Lastly, vertices 3.x-axis is going to increase by my x-axis underscore velocity, ending with a semicolon. Guys, I honestly could have gone with like a circle or square. That would have been much more easier, but I feel like triangle is like kind of harder, so that makes it a bit more fun to do. Okay, that's it. Now I'll go with something like my case 4. My case 4 is going to be something like if my SDL's key is, let's say, D. If my user click D, I'm going to go with vertices 1 dot y-axis is going to increase by my y-axis underscore velocity. What up, guys? I think that A should be the left side. Okay, W should be upward. So let's change this to y-axis, honestly. What up, guys? That's going to be y-axis, y-axis, y-axis. So if my user hits W, he goes upwards. Okay, y-axis is going to decrease by y-axis underscore velocity. And if I hit X, y-axis is going to increase. Actually, this is going to be increased. There we go. What up, guys? I'll go with something like plus. Guys, because sometimes I'm kind of like punctual when it comes with like, whatchamacallit, the types. So if I hit Y, actually, if I hit W, then I go upwards. If I hit S, I go downwards. If I hit A, I go towards the left. Okay, now if I hit D, I go towards the right from my x-axis. So I'm going to go ahead and increase it. And this is going to be x-axis underscore velocity. Okay, let's go with something like decrease. There we go. And then I'll go with something like vertices 2 dot x-axis is going to decrease by my x-axis underscore velocity as well, ending with a semicolon. Lastly, I'll go with something like vertices 3 dot x-axis is going to decrease by my x-axis underscore velocity. Okay, perfect, guys. I think that was a lot to process, but that does make a lot of sense now. Ending with a break. Okay, now for it, Control S to save the code and run the command. Let's see what happens. Let's get our first terminal here. Here's my second terminal, guys. The moment of truth. Does it actually move? Okay, it does move it. Does that make the stream lag? Guys, is the stream lagging when I actually move it? Okay, there we go. It does actually move. Why is it moving so slow? And guys, did that make the stream lag? Let me actually check. Could you guys even like see the triangle moving? Oh, it did make the stream kind of laggy. Okay, that said, let's go all the way up here to, okay, honestly, oh, no wonder. I think I forgot to add, FPS. Let's go ahead and add FPS. So, after I'm done moving the thing in the screen, after I'm done presenting as well, let's add a comment that says something like FPS. It might be because of FPS. Okay, for my FPS, firstly, I'll go with something like SDL underscore delay with a pair of parentheses. It is going to be 16 milliseconds, which is basically 60 frames per second. And I'm going to Control S to save the code and run the command. My first terminal, there we go. Oh, guys, I hope this doesn't lag the stream now. Guys, does it? I feel like it makes like my camera a little glitchy. Like when this moves. That moves like it's like a little glitchy when it moves for some reason. What up, guys? Okay, that's it. At least it did like move. Okay, I'll go with something like Control A, Control C, copy that. Let's get /ChatGPT back here. Okay, now let's go ahead and paste this. Go with Shift Enter, and let's say something like, let's say, it works! Exclamation. Okay, that said, why does let's go with something like, why does it make my stream lag a bit when I move it? Question mark. Okay, is it because Okay, honestly, let's just see why does it make my stream lag a bit. Are you studying code or planning? Are you studying code or planning to in the near future? Honestly, I feel like I am actually learning on how to code. That's it. How? Look at you, pupil. You've given life to a triangle. It moves, it breathes, it answers your commands. Now, about that lag, that's not your triangle being lazy. It's your CPU screaming. From how fast you're hammering it, here's what's happening under the hood. Your while loop is running hundreds, even thousands of times per second, redrawing everything immediately after handling, even though you added SDL underscore delay, which caps it around 60 frames per second. Each frame still recreates the entire window. Should I remove the while loop in that case? Let's fix it and cleanly make it silky smooth. Use SDL underscore get ticks, guys. I remember using the get ticks in like 5 games. It might be actually fun now. Okay, that said, our SDL underscore get performance counter for framing things. Keep this. Okay, this keeps your game frame rate consistent instead of relying on SDL underscore delay. Okay. Avoid constant reallocation or any system heavy calls inside a loop. Luckily, your code is already light, so most times the OBS plus debug build equals depth combo. Debug builds run slower and compiler okay, I see. Keeps everything smoother and all that stuff. Okay, let me say something like, let's say, can you show me how to use the get underscore text question mark? And also, do you think that do you think that it's lagging because of the nested while loop question mark? Should I remove the nested while loop? Guys, is it because of the nested while loop in like Python when I was like working with Python? I didn't have to. Eyes people, you're trying to think like a master. First of all, the nested while loop. The nested while loop poll event is necessary. That loop isn't your enemy. It's the sentinel that keeps your game listening to every single event like key presses and window closes. Without it, your triangle would ignore your inputs or window wouldn't respond properly, okay? The lag is not because of the nested loop, it's because your main loop runs as fast as possible. Constant redrawing without proper timings, and OBS is also capturing every frame. Your CPU can barely keep it. Okay, keep up, that's all. Now let's talk SDL underscore get takes. SDL underscore get takes returns numbers in milliseconds since SDL was initialized. You can use it to control your frame rate like this. So constant integer frame delay, okay, unit frame delay. Okay, so after I go with this running, frame start equals to SDL underscore get takes record time of frame. Okay, and then rendering, Okay, let me actually say something like, let's say, can I get a code for that to see if it works, question mark? Guys, I do want to see if it actually fixes my lag. That said, oh hell yes, okay, time to make that triangle slide like a ghost. So here's the code. Okay, that includes the get takes. Does it actually have the get takes? Okay, it does. Well, guys, let's wait for the code to be done, and then I want to copy and check it before it works, before actually like writing the code, because I feel if I write a wrong code, that's like kind of a waste of time. Okay, let's copy that, go with Control A, Control V, paste it. Okay. Alright guys, there we go. This is what I was actually talking about. Like, some things are kind of wrong here. Maybe I could just go with the get ticks. I mean, whatchamacallit, with the SDL underscore delay. Okay, that said, I do want to try whatchamacallit working with a rectangle right now. So to do that, firstly, I could go ahead and include a pair of anchor braces. And guys, in case I wasn't clear, like if I do sound like a dead today, it is because I just wrote an exam and came. Okay, that said, I'll go with something like, you can study for free, but you need to learn German eventually. Oh, I see. Honestly, I do want to like learn different languages. I was actually learning on how to speak Spanish. I haven't like reviewed it for a long time, so I'm not that good with it. That said, I do know a few phrases. Okay, next up, since I'm going to be using SDL, I'm going to go ahead and include SDL3 slash SDL.h. I'm assuming that's SDL's header files. Next up, let's go ahead and create a main function. So I'll go with integer main, add a pair of parentheses. Now, my main function is going to be requiring two parameters. The first parameter is going to be an integer of argc. The second parameter is going to be a character, which is a pointer towards an array of argv. And then I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Now, inside of my pair of curly braces, firstly, I'm going to add a if statement to check if my SDL was not initialized properly. So I'll go with something like not SDL underscore init if my SDL was not initialized properly. I'll go with SDL underscore init underscore video. Okay, and then I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Now, if my SDL was not initialized properly, firstly, let's go ahead and change this to a pair of curly braces. Okay, next up, I'm going to go with something like a standard C error with an insertion operator. Let's say I'm going to give myself something like an SDL underscore init error. This says that something is wrong when initializing SDL. Then let's go with another insertion operator and use a function that actually gets me an error. So I'll use the SDL underscore get error function. This is going to get me an error. And then let's go with something like, excuse me guys, a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Lastly, let's return 1. I think Mala, is that pronounce or Malwick, is that pronounce your name? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that's it. After I'm done initializing my SDL and checking if it was not initialized properly, let's add a comment that says something like create window and renderer. So I'm going to be creating my window and my renderer at the same time. So, okay, now for my create window and renderer, firstly, let's go ahead and use, let's go ahead and create, a few variables that actually um, let's create two variables, one for my window and one for my renderer. Guys, I can't actually speak. What's wrong? Okay, I'll go with something like SDL underscore window with an asterisk. So it's going to be a pointer to my window variable, which is going to be set to something like null PDR ending with a semicolon. And then I'll go with something like SDL underscore renderer with an asterisk of my renderer variable, which is going to be set to null PDR as well, ending with a semicolon. Okay, perfect. Now that I've added the two variables, let's go ahead and actually, use the function that actually creates my window and renderer. Okay, so I could go ahead and use the SDL underscore create window and renderer function. Okay, let's go with something like renderer. Okay, perfect. And then I'll go with the pair of curly braces. Now, my create window and renderer function does require a few parameters. The first parameter is going to be a title slash a caption. So I'll go with something like SDL3. Let's say SDL3 window created successfully. Okay, perfect. So this is going to be a caption for my window. Let me actually fix my typo. Is this how we spell successfully, guys? I think this is how we spell it. Next up, I'll need a I'll need a window's width and height. To do that, I could go ahead and, let's say, create a variable here. That's going to be called something like, maybe I'll go with something like game variables. Okay, why did you choose SDL3 instead of SDL2 to learn? Honestly, because I did create a community post or something in my channel that did ask you guys, should I go with SDL3 or SDL2? 72% of you guys did go with SDL3, so I was like, might as well start SDL3. Okay, so I'll go with something like game variables. Okay, now, what up guys? There we go. Okay, for my game variables, guys, I feel like, why am I making so many mistakes? I feel like, my fingers are way too frozen. It's getting really cold out here. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a few game variables. So the first game variable is going to be a constant integer variable. For my windows is width, so I'll go with something like width, which is going to be something like 800, ending with a semicolon. Then I'll go with something like a constant integer of something like height, which is going to be 600. That is my windows height slash my vertical height. Okay, and then honestly, since I am going to be moving stuff, I might have to create x-axis velocity and y-axis velocity as well. So I'll go with something like x-axis underscore velocity. But up guys, let's change that to something like floating point number of x-axis underscore velocity. That equals to something like, honestly, I might go with something like 8 pixels per frame. So I'll go with something like 8.0 f ending with a semicolon. And then I'll go with something like a floating point of y-axis underscore velocity, which equals to 8.0 f as well, ending with a semicolon. Okay, perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now, after I'm done creating a window, let's go ahead and check for something. Alright guys, let's actually focus on programming and not talk much about immigration. Okay, I'll go with something like windows is width and height as well, and then add a comma here. Now I'm going to be needing a flag for a window. To add a flag, I could go with something like SDL underscore. Honestly, I forgot what was it called. I think it was something like window resizable. Resized. There we go. Okay, so SDL underscore window underscore resizable. What up, guys? I think I need to work on my I feel my fingers are way too frozen today to actually type something. Okay, dude, you're still writing the same code. Honestly, no, this is like another code. I'm done with that code. Now I'm trying to move automate a rectangle. That said, let's go ahead and let's see. So firstly, I'm going to be adding the memory address for my window variable and then the memory address for my renderer variable. Okay, perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Okay. And then now that I've created my window and renderer, let's add a comment that actually checks if my window and renderer was actually created properly. To do that, I could go with something like if statement, if a pair of parentheses. I'll go with something like if not window or not a renderer. I'm going to do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Now, inside of my window and renderer, let's see, I might actually add a standard C error with an insertion operator. This is going to give me something like an SDL underscore create window and renderer error. There we go. Hello, what language is it? Honestly, it is like C++ using SDL3. That said, I've been actually working on SDL3 I think for about a week, but I did start using C++ for an actually long time. Okay, I think it's been 50-ish days. That's it. I'm gonna go and add a comma here. Now, after I add a C error here, let's go and use the function actually gets me an error. Ah, it's C++. Honestly, I feel like C++ is pretty fun. Your voice is so soothing. Honestly, I appreciate you. Anand, is that how you pronounce your name? Okay, that's it. Let's go ahead and use the SDL underscore gets errors. Let's go with something like get errors as function with a pair of parentheses. So there we go. Okay, and then I'll add another insertion operator that uses a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Okay, did I like spell something wrong here for my standard end line? My bad guys, I forgot to add an insertion operator. There we go. Okay, perfect. And now, if my window or my renderer was not created properly, firstly, let's go ahead and let's say quit my SDL. So I'll go with something like SDL underscore quit with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. Then I'm going to return one saying something went wrong in this code. Okay, bro, are you still going? Honestly, I do program for like about 2 to 3 hours these days because like I don't have much time. But once my college is over, I might actually start streaming for like longer, maybe 6 to 7 hours. Okay, sorry, I've realized after the SDL a standard DD, I usually write C. I love it. Ooh, I actually do want to start C as well. That's it, bro. You need to stop, man. Honestly, I feel like it was kind of fun. Okay, that said, after I'm done creating a window and a renderer, let's go ahead and maybe add attributes for my triangle or my rectangle. I'll go with something like rectangle properties. Okay, now for my rectangle properties, did I spell it correct? There we go. For my rectangle properties, firstly, let's go ahead and create something like a SDL underscore frect. This is going to be something like a rect ending with a semicolon. And now I'm going to be setting a x-axis, y-axis, width and height for my rectangle. So I could do something like rect.x-axis equals to, I don't know, maybe 100. And then something like rect.y-axis, which equals to 100. Should I go with 200? I think 200. Ending with a semicolon, and then rect.width, my rectangle's width is going to be equal to something like 50, and then my rectangle's height is going to be something like 50 as well. Guys, I feel this is like a square or something. That's it, bro, brother. You humble? Honestly, does that make sense? I think that does make sense, guys. Okay, that's it. Let's go ahead and add another comment right now. This is going to be for my main loop, so I'll go with something like main loop. And now, inside my main loop, I am going to be having two variables. The first variable is going to be a boolean variable of something like is running, which is going to be set to true initially. And then I'll need a event loop. Basically, I need an event loop to check my current event type. For example, mouse clicks, or if my event type is quit. That's it. I'm actually trying to write my own heap allocator in C right now. What about you? You're making a game or something? Honestly, it does sound pretty cool. That's what I am. Maybe I think this is considered game logic because I'm trying to like move my object or like my shape on my screen using like user inputs. Like mouse, I think it was like keyboard control, if that made any sense. That said, I'll go ahead and use the SDL underscore events structure, which is going to be set to a event variable. Now let's go ahead and add a while loop. So I'll go with something like while a pair of parentheses. I'll go with something like while is running. I'm going to do something. Let's go ahead and add a event loop. So I'll go ahead and add a comment that says something like event loop. Okay, now for my event loop, firstly, I'm going to be adding another while loop. So it's a while loop inside of a while loop. Basically a nested loop. This is going to be looking for something. So I might go with something like SDL underscore poll event. Basically what the poll event function does is it like, it looks for the events that I'm actually looking for. For example, if I look for quit events, it's going to be searching if like a quit event did happen or all that stuff. That's it. I will need a parameter or the memory address for my event variable as my parameter. Okay, perfect. And then let's go with the pair of curly braces. Now, inside of my while loop, firstly, I'm going to add a if statement to look for an event type. So I might go with something like if my event variable's current type is equal to. Guys, I'm feeling I'm drooling I'm drooling everywhere while speaking. Okay, that said, if my event's current type is equal to something like SDL underscore event underscore quit. Guys, I feel like my fingers are way too frozen to like actually type. Let's go with something like quit. I'm gonna do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces and then let's set my is running boolean variable to be equal to false, ending with a semicolon. Okay, now I won't be ending my if statement or like my event loop just yet, but I am going to leave something for the for later on because I do want to go with something like keyboard controls. I'll add a comment here. Let's go with controls. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to add my keyboard controls just yet, but I won't be like actually applying it right now. I'm going to apply it like in a bit, guys. That said, let's go ahead and exit outside of my event loop and add a comment that says something like fill screen. Whatchamacallit. Guys, I don't know where I even hear whatchamacallit. Okay, that's take a break. Honestly, I feel like I'm not exhausted that yet. I mean, I'm not exhausted, but I might take a break really soon. Maybe once I'm done with the stream. Okay, that said, I'll go with something like fill screen. Now, for my fill screen, firstly, let's go ahead and set a color to my render. To set a color for my render, I could use the SDL underscore set render. I'm gonna set my renderer to draw a color. Let's go with something like draw color function. Guys, this is the only way I can make this function make sense. Okay, so I'm gonna set my render to draw a color. And what color do I want? I'll need a few parameters. First is going to be my render slash my paintbrush. Secondly, I'm going to be needing an RGB value now. I'll go with something like cyan. So 0, 248, 255. And then I'll add a comma. Now, for my opacity, I'm going to say my opacity is going to be 255. That's basically my color won't be transparent at all. Okay, what does a while loop and while loop do? Okay, basically my outer while loop checks if my game is still running, and my inner while loop checks if my event type, means if my user clicks the X button, which is in the top right, it ends my this while loop. So my outer while loop, which is technically my game loop that always runs, like basically games like work while this loop is running. And then inside the event loop checks if any event is pressed. For example, if a front, like if my W is pressed, my object or my shape goes forwards. If S is pressed, it goes backwards. That's it. This kind of event right here, it checks if my X button is clicked. If my X button is clicked, my window is closed. I'm going to turn my is running, which is set to true, to be equal to false. That is going to end my entire game loop. If that made any sense, guys. No offense, but you feel AI generated? Guys, is that like a compliment? I feel like that is a compliment. That's it. I do appreciate you, comrade. Okay, do you not test your code? Are you copying? Honestly, no, I do like run my code after I'm done with it. That's it. I do like first when I do actually learn the codes, that time I do like see a reference, but later on once I do get a good grasp of it, like I did right now, I like write it on my own, then later on I do add my own tweaks to it as well. Okay, that said, if he's Indian, you know the correct type shit. Okay, that said, now after I set a color to my render, let's go ahead and fill my entire screen slash clear my entire screen with that color. To do that, I could go with something like SDL underscore render clear. I'm saying my render to clear my screen with the color of my current renderer, ending with a semicolon. Okay, so the second is an event loop. Honestly, the second is an event loop. In the other hand, like when I used to like work with Pygames or like make a game in Pygame, I didn't like need a while loop for my event loop. I could just add an if statement. Apparently in C++ we need like a nested while loop, because like we do gotta use the SDL underscore poll event. The poll events function is the one that actually checks like what event is currently going on. Okay, that said, after I'm done filling my screen, let's add another comment that says something like graphics. This is going to be where I actually, draw my rectangle slash square and color it up as well. To do that, firstly, I could set a different color for my renderer. So I could go with something like SDL underscore set render draw color function with a pair of parentheses. Now, my set render draw color function is going to be requiring my render paintbrushes, parameter, and then a RGB. For my RGB, I'll go with something like red. Where did you get the idea for your channel name? Honestly, I think like I just created like on spot, because like I was like, what channel name should I have? Because like my channel name has been changing for like it like changed 3 times. Firstly, 5 years ago, my channel name used to be Vivek Arts, where I thought my channel is going to be an origami channel. And then later on, I changed to Vivek Gamer. Basically, I used to like play games and upload videos on like me actually gaming. Then later on, I changed to Viv Universe, because I thought I'm doing like so many stuff. Like I made AMVs in my channel, I made origami videos in my channel, I played games in my channel, like different kinds of games. Now I do even have programming in my channel. That's it. I was like, guys, might as well change it to Viv Universe, because like there's a lot of content. Yeah, counter. Honestly, guys, that does make sense. Okay, that's it. I'll go with an RGB color now, so 23500, and then let's go with an opacity of 235 as well, ending with a semicolon. Okay, perfect. Now, after I set a color to my rectangle, I could use a function that actually colors my rectangle. To do that, I could go with something like SDL underscore render fill rect. So I'm going to say my renderer to fill my rectangle. This is going to be required 2 parameters. The first parameter is going to be of my renderer's paintbrush. The second parameter is going to be the memory address of something like my rect's structures variable here, like right there. Okay, and then let's go ahead and end that with a semicolon as well. And honestly, that is pretty much it. Let's go ahead and present it on my screen now. So I'll add a comment that says something like present. Okay, and then I'll use the SDL underscore render present function. This presents my renderer on my screen with the parameter of my renderer, ending with a semicolon. Okay, and then let's add another comment that says something like FPS, which is like frames per second. I could use the SDL underscore, let's say something like a delay function with a pair of parentheses. This is going to be something like 16 milliseconds, which is basically 60 frames per second. Okay, that said, now once I'm done with everything, let's go outside my while loop. Let's exit outside of my actual main game loop. I'm gonna add a comment that says cleanup. So I'm gonna do some cleanup once my game ends or once my while loop ends. Firstly, I want to destroy my window, so I'll go with something like SDL underscore destroy window with a pair of parentheses. This is gonna have my window variable as a parameter, and then I'll go with something like SDL underscore quit. I want to quit my SDL, ending with a semicolon as well. And then let's go ahead and return 0. And it didn't say let's lastly return 0 because like I still need to add my keyboard controls because I didn't add those. Okay, now to do those, let's go ahead and think how I'm going to be doing this. Did I add my x-axis and y-axis velocity? I did add them. Okay, then let's go ahead and my keyboard controls. And firstly, let's add a if statement. So I'll go with something like if a pair of parentheses. I'll go with something like, I don't know, if my SDL underscore key, what was it called? SDL underscore, was it something like key? Okay, it's not keyboard. I think it's something like key press. Was it something like key? If my key down, was it something like key up or key down? Okay, I think it was key down. If my SDL underscore key is key down, I'm gonna do something. Yeah, destroying window is very important. Honestly, that does make sense. Okay, that's it, guys. I forgot what was the if statement here. So if my event dot type, oh, I have to go with event dot type. There we go. If my event dot type equals to SDL underscore key down, wasn't it key down? I think it was key down, guys. Hold up, let me actually, which we call it, pops and say slash ChatGPT back up here. There's no way I forgot the function name, right? Okay, so there are two kinds of functions. Let's scroll all the way up. Okay, so it's if my event type equals to SDL underscore event underscore key underscore down. There we go. Okay, so SDL underscore event underscore key underscore down. Guys, I just had the function name wrong. Actually, I don't think this is a function. I think it's a keyword. So it's something like SDL underscore event underscore key underscore down. If my event type is key down, then I'm going to do something. Okay, perfect. Let's firstly, hold up, let me just cancel that ad from here. There we go. I'll go with the pair of curly braces. And then now, let's go ahead and use switches. So I might go with something like switch. Okay, if my switch is, let's go with something like SD. I don't think this should be my switch. I think my switch should be something like switch, a pair of parentheses. If my SDL dot key, I think this should be uppercase SDL. There we go. SDL dot key. Okay. I'm pretty sure that was my switch. SDL dot. Wasn't it SDL dot key? What up, guys? Let me actually check. SDL is undefined. What if I go with show potential fixes? It doesn't show anything. What up, guys? If my switch is SDL dot key, should I go with event? SDL dot event dot key? Okay, it was not this, guys. Hold up, let me get some ChatGPT back here. Okay, it's event.key. I shouldn't go with SDL. Okay, that was kind of stupid. I'm looking for my event, not my SDL. So if my event.key, okay, then I'll go with the pair of curly braces. Now, if my case is SDL underscore W, if my W key is pressed, then I'm going to do something. Okay, and there should not be an underscore here, guys. There's so many syntaxes up here. Okay, so if this is my case, then I'm going to do something. Is this how we go with it? I'm pretty sure this is how we do it. Okay, so if my case is W, I'm going to go with something like my rect dot, let's say y-axis. I'm going to increase my rectangles as y-axis by my y-axis underscore velocity ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to break, ending with a semicolon. And then let's add another case. So I'll go with something like for my case 2. If my SDL key is, let's go with something like S, I'm going to do something. My rect.y-axis is now going to decrease by my y-axis underscore velocity ending with a semicolon. then I'm gonna break. And now for my fourth case, I'll go with something like, if my case is SDL, let's go with, if my key type is A, then I'm gonna do something. I wanna go to the left. So I'm gonna go with something like rect.x-axis is gonna increase by my x-axis underscore velocity ending with a semicolon. Then I break, and then I go ahead and check if my SDL key is, let's say something like D this time. If my key type is D, I'm gonna add a colon here. I'll go with something like rect dot guys, this should be lowercase. There we go. Rect dot x-axis is gonna decrease by my x-axis underscore velocity ending with a semicolon, and then I break. Okay, perfect, guys. I think that was like so much to actually think. Okay, but I feel like if you actually understand the concept of this isn't that complicating. This actually feels easy in a way. Okay, perfect. And that's pretty much it. Did I need a pair of curly braces here though? Okay, I'm kind of confused. I don't think I needed a pair of curly braces. That's it. Let's just check if it works. So if I were to go with Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. So I get my first terminal pop up here. I get my second terminal as well, my second window as well. Okay, the moment of truth, guys. Okay, it does move, but whatchamacallit, it moves in the complete opposite direction. Like if I hit W, it goes down. If I hit S, it goes up. That could be because I didn't have delay. And guys, I feel like that actually lags my stream so much. Okay, let me actually check if it actually is like lagging my stream. I feel like it is. Okay, it's actually not lagging my screen. Okay, guys, I was kind of panicking because I was like, does that actually lag my stream? Because it's going to be really hard to do it later on. Okay, that's pretty much it. Let's go with Control A, Control C, copy that. Let's you need to change the 3 to plus velocity if you press D to go right. Actually, that does make sense, guys. I should like change, replace everything. Like this plus should be minus, this minus should be plus, and now this plus should be minus, and this minus should be plus. There we go. Now if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, this should work. I had the opposite coordinates. Okay, so let's get my first window up here, my second window here. Now it works perfectly. So up goes up, left goes left. Guys, I feel like Pygames used to be much more smoother than this. Like Pygames could like actually go in like all directions. Okay, it's because plus Y is down because of the top left is 0, 0. Oh, that actually does make sense. Okay, so plus is to go down and minus is to go up. Okay, that's it. I'll go with Control A, Control C, copy that. Let's get sensei/chatgpt here. Now, let's go ahead and paste this. I do have a question. Let's say something like, say, I honestly have a question. Dot. Guys, I should like work on my typos. I get like so many typos. Okay, so, the code works. Let's go with something like, so the code actually works. That said, in Pygames, it used to be much smoother because I could go diagonally as well. Although in C++, SDL, I feel like I can just go in one direction and not diagonally. Guys, how are there so many typos? I tried my best to type slow this time as well. That said, people, I see exactly what you're feeling. Here's what's happening. In your current code, you're only reacting to single key presses. Okay, that event fires once when the key is pressed. So if you hold W and then A, the event system only sees one key press at a time, not combination. That's why diagonal movement feels impossible. You're essentially fighting SDL's event queue. Okay, in Pygames, you probably use pygame.key.getPress. Exactly, I use this, which checks the state of all keys continuously, not just when they're pressed. We need the same idea here. SDL underscore keyboard state. That way you can like check multiple clicks at once and move diagonally. Here's how you do it. Constant unit 8 key state equals to SDL underscore keyboard state, which is set to null. And then if key state at, guys, this feels exactly like Pygame now. Okay, that said, inside the main loop after SDL poll event, if key state at index of SDL underscore scan code is W, okay, I do that. If it's S, A, and D. Which language is this? Honestly, it is C++. That said, this replaces the SDL underscore event underscore key down switch entirely. Now holding W plus D at the same time, your rectangle will move diagonally holding W plus A. I think I see, guys. Hold up. Although, let me actually copy this part. I do have a question. Let's go ahead and paste that here. Okay, let's go with Shift Enter and say something like, let's say, I feel like I got Omen for a second. That said, what does the unit 8 mean, question mark? Okay, and why does my SDL underscore get keyboard state have a parameter of null, question mark? Okay, so many typos. Okay, brother, you're so young and you mastered C++. Keep it up. Honestly, I appreciate your MacBook. That's it. I actually feel like I didn't master. I feel like I'm a beginner at most. Are you CS major? Honestly, I haven't taken any programming courses yet because I am a freshman in college. That's it. I am going to be probably taking programming courses from next semester. I don't know, guys. Maybe. That's it. People, I love this. You're asking the questions that separate the casual coder from the master. Let's break it down slowly so you don't panic. Okay, Unit 8, it stands for unsigned 8-bit integer, okay? Unit 8 is unsigned character, IIRC. Oh, I see. Unsigned means it can be negative, only 0 to 225. That could be even why the RGBs have Unit 8 sometimes. 8-bit means it uses 1 byte of memory. SDL uses Unit 8 because each key state can be stored as 0 not pressed or 1 as pressed. Perfect for tiny flags. Think of it like a true/false flag. For every key on the keyboard, just store a number. Okay, constant unit 8 key state. The asterisk means it's a pointer, okay, pointing to an array of all keys on your keyboard. Constant means you can't change the values. SDL owns the array, you just read it. So every frame, key state at index of SDL underscore scan code. W checks if W is pressed. Oh, I see. Why did you study engineering? Honestly, it does actually sound fun. That's it. Eventually, I do want to learn about machine learning and how AIs work because I do actually enjoy what you would call it, making AIs. Although I haven't tried how to make them just yet. That said, why SDL underscore keyboard state has a parameter of null? SDL can optionally return size of the keyboard array if you give it a pointer to an integer. If you don't care about the size, you'll pass null. Basically, I don't know how many keys there are, just give me the array. I see. Okay, so I just gotta see the functions. It's not unit, it's unit. Oh, I see. Okay, so it's constant unit 8 key state equals to this thing. So I gotta add this above my main loop. So it's constant unit 8, okay, with a pointer to my key states variable, which is going to be set to SDL underscore keyboard state that is set to null. Hold up, guys. Let me actually try writing it real quick. So it's above my main loop. I could honestly add it somewhere right here. Maybe I could add it under my event somewhere here. So I'll go with something like I already forgot. I'll go with something like const of let's go with a const of unit 8. So I'll go with unit 8. Okay, which is going to be a pointer for. So let's say something like key press. I'm studying electrical and electronic engineering. Coding is embedded system is also fun. Oh, that actually sounds pretty fun. You're still pronouncing it wrong. It's not unit. It's it's uint. Oh, that actually makes sense. Okay, hold up, guys. Uint. I was whatchamacallit, when you said the comment, I thought that you were saying the caps because case sensitivity. There we go, it's uint and not unit. That actually makes so much sense now. Because I was whatchamacallit, when you use the calc for the unit, I was you're saying it's not uppercase unit, it's lowercase unit. Never mind, it's uint. Okay, that said, I go with something like a constant uint. This is going to be. Okay, did I spell it correct? Let's go with shift space. Okay, it's uint16. Okay, there's a uint 8 here. Is it this? What did sensei/chatgpt use? Hold up, guys. Let's get sensei/chatgpt up here. Okay, that is capital. I mean, that is whatchamacallit, capitalized units. So I'm gonna go with something like a capitalized U. Okay, so the U is unsigned, and then the int is for integer. Also, unsigned integer. That actually makes sense now. Okay, I'll go with something like I go with something like key press. So I'll go with something like key press. Okay, which is gonna be equal to SDL underscore key. I forgot the function. What was the function called? Okay, SDL underscore key down. Guys, there are so many key functions. I forgot which it was. Okay, combine goes with unsigned integer for unit. Oh, I see. Okay, that actually does make sense. So key state, and I get my keyboard state. So SDL underscore get keyboard state, which is going to be set to null. So let's change this to something like key state. And guys, the name could be like anything. I just want to like, whatchamacallit, keep the names that makes the most sense. Okay, so key state is going to be something like SDL underscore get key state. There we go. And then I could go with something like control tab. Okay, that does like pop this up so I can actually like see stuff. Wasn't it key state? So it's SDL underscore get key state with a pair of parentheses. Guys, I feel like I should like remember it when I see you the first time. Get keyboard state. Okay, I should go with keyboard state. So I'll go with something like keyboard state. Okay, was something still wrong here? Shift enter. Okay, get keyboard state. It should be this. So SDL underscore get keyboard state with a pair of parentheses. Okay, what parameter does it require? It requires a num keys parameter. I'm pretty sure I should set this to null, ending with a semicolon. Okay, is this a function from SDL2? Okay, what does the asterisk do then? Basically, the asterisk is like a pointer, so I won't be whatchamacallit. Later, when I'm actually like modifying this, I won't be modifying whatchamacallit a copy of this. I'm going to be modifying the actual memory address of this. Okay, guys, is this like a function from like SDL2? What up, guys? I'll go with control A control C. Let's copy that real quick. I feel like that's a function from SDL2. Let's go ahead and paste this. Go with shift enter and say something like is the uint8 with a asterisk of something like key state. This is just a function. I'm going to set that equal to, let's go with something like SDL underscore get keyboard state with a pair of parentheses. Let's add the parameter of null. Okay, is that a function from SDL2 question mark? Because I get a red underline on my function. Okay, let's see. People, you're hitting the SDL3 pain point. Listen carefully. SDL underscore get keyboard state exists in SDL2, but SDL3 changed it how inputs work. SDL3 no longer uses. Okay, why was I even getting that in that case? That's why your IDE is screaming, use Claude. Honestly, I feel like ChatGPT is more helpful than Claude, but I should actually try Claude. That said, that's why your IDE is screaming with red underline. It doesn't understand it. So SDL3, the keyboard input is fully event driven, so you check your events directly. SDL underscore event, like SDL underscore event key down or key up. You don't pull the entire keyboard array anymore. Diagonal movement is handled by tracking, which are pressed manually, not via keyboard state. ChatGPT is horrible for programming. Honestly, I feel like ChatGPT is like pretty cool. Or AI Studio with Gemini 2.5 Pro. That actually does make sense. Okay, your own strategy. That one fly. Okay, this is a SDL3 approved. Okay, this is something new now. Let me actually try this. So Boolean W down falls A down. Okay, and then my event loop. So if event.type is quit, I do that. If event.type is SDL underscore event key down, I use a switch. So event.key down if SDL underscore K is W down. Okay, that is set to true. A down. Hiding Sid app, I appreciate you joining the stream. ChatGPT is great for research and documentation, but coding Claude is much better. Oh, I see. Honestly, that does make sense. I feel like there are like, much better programming, much better AIs that helps with programming, but guys, I feel like I have a deep connection with ChatGPT / Sensei, so it's kind of hard to move on. Okay, that said, if my event.type is key up, I go ahead and add it up. If W down, okay, I do all of them, then move it right based on the booleans. Okay, so this is inside of my event loop. Why is this kind of confusing to understand? I create 4 boolean variables, W for down, A for down, S for down, D for down. All are false. Okay, if my key W is down, hold up. Okay, guys, I think I understand this. Why is it hard? I'm studying artificial intelligence and I use LLMs S's daily. Ooh, that actually does sound pretty cool. Okay, that said, let me actually go ahead and copy this part. I understand this, but for some reason I can't wrap my head around this part. I know what it does. Let's paste it, go with Shift Enter, and say something like, say, I know what this does, but for some reason I can't wrap my head around it. Dot dot dot. Okay, can you maybe explain it again? Question mark. Okay, guys, I think I want another explanation because I know how that works. It does make sense, but I feel like I can't think about it. Well, I mean, what you call it? Okay, isn't just Canva the same as Claude Artifacts? Okay, haven't used it yet. Honestly, isn't like whatchamacallit Canva the app that we used to like make thumbnails? Guys, where did my whatchamacallit, where did my prompt go? Okay, hold up, let me go ahead and copy this part again. Okay, let's copy that. Control C to copy. Let's go ahead and paste it here. Go with Shift Enter and say something like, let's say, I feel like I know what this does in theory, although I think that I did not wrap my head around it. So maybe can you explain it again? Question mark. Okay, I think I might understand this time. Okay, OpenAI and Claude have guidelines for prompting. Oh, I see. Alright, people, listen closely. What you're doing? Okay, what you're looking at is how SDL3 handles continuous key presses checks. Think of it like this. SDL3 is event driven. It does not automatically know which key are held down like SDL2 did. In SDL2, you could ask the keyboard what's pressed right now. With SDL_get keyboard state in SDL3, you only get told when a key changes states. Either press key down or release key are Boolean tracks. The state W down and W down, A down, S down, and D down. These remember which keys are currently pressed when SDL_event_key_down fires W. We set W down to be set to true, means my W is being pushed down right now. Okay, meaning move upwards. When SDL_event_key is up. Okay, so fires W, we set W down to be false, so it's no longer being held down. I think I get it now. And then diagonal movement, now we can handle multiple keys. If the user presses W plus D down and up, we're doing something. So if W down, okay, if W down rect.y-axis minus equals to y-axis velocity, if D down rect dot okay, I think I see, guys. Although I would have to like copy the code and write it this time for like a reference because I do not remember the syntax is. That's what I feel like I might get used to syntaxes the more I write it. What up, guys? So there we go. Where should I go? Okay, let's scroll all the way up here. Alright, perfect. Now, instead of going with the uint8, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. And firstly, let's create 4 Boolean values. So I'll go with something like a Boolean value. Honestly, just for the stuff to look good, I might actually create it above my is running. So I'll go with something like Boolean of, let's say something like W down, which is going to be initially set to false, ending with a comma. And then I'll go with something like S down. Okay, S down is going to be set to false as well because my S is not being held down right now. A comma, I'll go with something like A down. So if my A key is being pressed, I'm going to set it to be false because it's not being pressed right now. And then a comma and add my final one. So I'll go with something like D down, which is going to be set to false as well because I'm not holding my D down. Okay, ending with a semicolon. Alright, next up, after I'm done creating my Boolean values, I'm going to go inside of my event loop. Let's go ahead and carefully delete my if statement that is for my switches. Okay, and I might need this if statement right here. Okay, so now, if my event.type, so first I check for quit. Now if my event.type is key down, that is right here, I'm going to do something. I add a switch firstly, guys. I am like copying this part, so I'll go with something like switch. I'll add a pair of parentheses. If my switch is event.key, I'm gonna do something. I'll add a pair of curly braces. Now let's add a bunch of cases. Okay, wait, hold up. I think I get what this means. So, let's go with if my case is something like SDL underscore key. If my key is currently set to, I don't know, maybe something like W. If my key is set to W, I'm gonna do something. I'll add a colon here, and then I'll go down here. I'm gonna go ahead and set my W down. So I'll go with something like my boolean of W down variable to be equal to true, ending with a semicolon. And then let's go ahead and add a break, ending with a semicolon as well. Now, for my second case, I'm gonna check if my SDL's key is something like S. Okay, and then I'll add a comma. And then let's go with something like if my key is S, I'm gonna go with W, actually S down. So my S is being pushed down. I'm gonna set that to something like true. So let's go with true, ending with a semicolon. Then let's add a break. Now for my case 3, I'm gonna check if my SDL's key is currently, let's go with something like A. If my key is A, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna end that with a comma, and then go with something like A down. Okay, I'm going to set my A down to be set to true as well, ending with a semicolon. And then let's go ahead and add a break, ending with a semicolon. And lastly, I'll go with my fourth case, which checks if my SDL's key is something like D. If it is D, I'm going to do something. I'll go with something like D down and set that equal to true, ending with a semicolon. And then my final break. Okay, perfect. That was my first if statement. Now, let's go ahead and exit outside of my if statement all the way right here. Okay, and let's add an... It didn't have to be an else if. No, I think it's got to be like another if statement. Okay, now for my next if statement, I'm going to check if I actually like... whatchamacallit? Keep like push my key upwards, which means I don't like be pushing it down anymore. For that, I could go with something like if my event dot type equals to SDL underscore key to the top. Was it something like if my SDL underscore event underscore key is up, if my SDL underscore event, excuse me guys, underscore key is up, if my top key is pressed, I'm gonna do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Excuse me guys, I don't have my barfing. Okay, that said, if my key is being pressed up, firstly, I'm going to be adding a switch. So let's go with something like switch, a pair of parentheses. I'm going to look for something like my event.keys.key. And then I'll go with a pair of curly braces. Now, let's add a case. So if my case is, let's say SDL's key is something like W. If my W is being pressed, I'm going to do something. Let's go with something like my W down variable. I'm going to set it to be false, ending with a semicolon. And then let's go ahead and add a break. And now let's go with something like if my case is SDL underscore. Let's say SDL's key is something like S. Then I'm going to add a colon here. Go with S down. Set that equal to false as well, ending with a semicolon. Let's add a break. And then we'll go with my third case. If my third case is something like SDL underscore... Actually, if my SDL's key is, let's say, something like S this time. Wait, I went with S. I think I'll go with A this time. What up, guys? Let's go with A. Guys, I feel this is like, it requires a lot of thinking, so I don't make typos here. I'm going to go with something like A down, which is going to be set to false, ending with a semicolon. Then let's go with a break. And lastly, I'm going to look for my case. So if my final key is D, so I'm going to check if my key is D. I'll go with something like D down, which is going to be equal to false, ending with a semicolon. Okay, that was like a mouthful, guys. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for this part. Okay, that's pretty much it for my my event loop. Now the question is, when I do add like have like a comment here, let's get sensei/chat GPT here. Let's go ahead and extend this part from here and extend it from here. Okay. Alright, so basically I had like one more thing. So should I add this part outside of my event loop? Maybe. I think it should be inside. Then move your rect. Okay, so my while loop starts here. So it is outside of my event loop. Okay, so if W down is set to true, I decrease my y-axis by 1, so I go upwards. and if S down is set to true, then I increase my y-axis by my y-axis underscore velocity. I go downwards. Okay, so this should go outside my outside my nested while loop or my event loop. So I'm gonna add a comment here that says something like velocity velocity. Guys, I don't know what else to name this. I feel velocity makes the most sense here. Okay, now for my velocities, firstly, let's go ahead and do something. I might actually go with something like if a pair of parentheses. Let's say if something like W down, if my W button is being clicked, I'm gonna do something. Let's go ahead and decrease my, let's say something like rect dot y-axis is gonna decrease by my y-axis underscore velocity. I'm gonna go upwards. And then I add another if statement. I'll go with something like if a pair of parentheses, if my W, actually if my S down, if my S down is being clicked, I'll go with something like my rect dot y-axis is gonna increase by my y-axis underscore velocity, ending with a semicolon. And then let's add another if statement for this time, let's say my A. So if a pair of parentheses, if my A down is set to true, which means it's being pushed down for the time being, I'm gonna do something. Let's go with my rect.x-axis this time. I'm assuming I increase it by my x-axis underscore velocity, ending with a semicolon. Maybe, I think it was easier in Python because I used like my up, down, left, and like up, down, top, and bottom instead of my actual keys. But I feel like it's the same thing. And then lastly, I'll go with something like if a pair of parentheses, if my, let's go with something like D down, if my D is being, pressed down right now, I'm going to go with something like rect.x-axis is going to decrease by my x-axis underscore velocity, ending with a semicolon. Okay guys, I think that should be pretty much it. If I were to hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. Okay, so that's my first terminal. Actually, my first window. My second window. Okay guys, the moment of truth. Okay, my A. What up guys? My D goes to the right. Okay, did I go with something like rect.y-axis? What up guys? That is W, x-axis, x-axis, y-axis velocity, y-axis velocity. Why can't I go to the left? Hold up, did I like press something wrong or like okay, that is D, A, S, W, D. Okay, hold up guys, that is W, W, S, A, D. That is W, S, A, D. W, S, A, and D. Wait guys, this should be D, not S. There we go. Okay, I think that was what causing the typos. Now, if I hit Control S again to save the code and run the, to save the code and run the command, I get my first window, my second window. Okay, if I hit D, then I go towards the left. Let's fix that real quick, guys. What up? Okay, so if I hit D, I'm gonna increase that. Let's decrease that. Now if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. So I get my first window pop up here, second window pop up here, up, down, left, right. There we go guys, this feels more like the Python stuff now, because like in Python I could like move them like perfectly like this. Okay, I think that's actually pretty good. Maybe next time I'll learn how to clamp it all up. That's it, let's go with something like Control A, Control Z, copy that. Okay, I do want to see one more thing. Okay, so D, it increases, and A, it decreases. Okay, let's get some say/ChatGPT here. Now, let's go ahead and paste this, go with Shift Enter and say something like, let's say, it works, although I don't take credit for this question, because I did see the reference you showed. That said, I want to try to write it again! Exclamation. Guys, let me hide my lips real quick. Okay, that's it. That's what I want to hear, people. Stop hiding behind my code. This time you write the code from scratch. Here's your mission. Create an SDL3 window, 800 by 600 pixels. Draw a rectangle 50 by 50 somewhere in the window. Track WASD, okay, keys using Boolean variables like we just discussed. Okay, allow diagonal movement, keep screen clearing, make sure to clean up SDL. Okay, I see. Wait, did it say I have like 5 minutes to write it? You have 5 minutes to write it all? Okay, guys, I don't think that's possible. I'll go with controller. Let's start out with deleting everything. Firstly, let's go ahead and include a pair of ankle braces. I want to include IO stream. And then next up, let's go ahead and include another pair of ankle braces. Since I am going to be using SDL3, let's go ahead and include SDL3. And guys, I feel like, call it? My nose is getting kind of stiffy because it's kind of hot here. Okay, actually it's kind of cold here, but my headphones is like heating my nose up. I'll go with something like SDL's header files as well. And now let's go ahead and create a main function. So I'll go with integer main ID pair of parentheses. I'll go with something like an integer of argc. And then the second parameter is going to be a character, which is going to be a pointer towards an array of argv with a square bracket. Now I'll go with the pair of curly braces. And then inside a main function, let's add a if statement to initialize my SDL and check if it was not initialized properly. To do that, I could go with something like exclamation SDL underscore init. Exclamation is basically a membership operator. It means like not. Okay, I'll go with something like SDL underscore init underscore video. If my SDL's video was not initialized properly, I'm going to do something. I'll go with a standard C error with an insertion operator. This is going to give me an SDL underscore init error. Okay, maybe I had a colon here. Alright guys, there we go. And then let's go in a new line, add another insertion operator. This is going to get me an error. So I'll use the SDL underscore gets errors as, excuse me guys, function with a pair of parentheses to invoke the function. Then I'll go with something like a standard end line ending with a semicolon. Lastly, let's return 1 saying something went wrong with this code. Okay, now that I've initialized my SDL, let's add a comment that creates my window and renderer. So I'll go with something like create window, create window and render. Hey, would you give lessons to my brother? Honestly, guys, I would like eventually. I do because I do enjoy teaching you guys and all that stuff. That said, eventually in the future, I do want to like make tutorial videos. But for now, I feel like I am like a complete beginner. So even though I do want to teach like people really bad, I don't think I can because like I feel like I should be educated enough, guys. I feel like I'm kind of illiterate when it comes to this. Okay, that said, someday maybe in the future I will like actually upload a lot of tutorial videos, guys. Okay, that's it. I'll go with something like create window and renderer. Guys, let's change it to something like renderer. Okay, now for my create window and renderer, firstly, let's create 2 local variables. The first local variable is going to be a variable for my Windows's structure, and this is going to be a Windows's pointer, which is going to be set to something like null ptr, which is a placeholder ending with a semicolon. Then I'll go with something like SDL underscore renderer with an asterisk to my renderer, which we call it renderer variable, which is going to be set to null ptr as well. That is basically a placeholder. Okay, perfect. Now that I've created the 2 variables, let's actually use the function that does create a window and renderer at the same time. I could do that by typing the SDL underscore create window and renderer function. Okay, basically create window and renderer function. It does create my window and renderer at the same time. That's it. I will need a few parameters. My first parameter is going to be a title / a caption. I could set that to something like SDL3 window created. Let's go with something like window created. Okay, and then let's add a comma here. Now I'll need a width and a height for window. But instead of going with something like 800 by 600, which are like hard-coded numbers, I might actually go all the way up here, and after I'm done initializing my SDL, I'll add another comment that says something like game variables. These are going to be the basic game variables that I'm going to be needing. The first variable, let's say, could be something like a constant integer of something like my Windows's width. That is going to be set to 800, ending with a semicolon. Then I'll go with something like a constant integer of height. This is my Windows's height. That is going to be set to 600, ending with a semicolon. And since I am going to be moving my objects or like moving my shapes, I might create my velocities right now on these. So I could go with something like a floating point of x-axis underscore velocity equals to something like maybe 8 pixels. Okay, so I'll go with something like 8 pixels per frame, and then I'll go with something like another floating point for my y-axis underscore velocity, which is going to be equal to 8 pixels per frame as well. That is basically a floating point number. Okay, perfect. Now that I've created my my velocities and my width and height, I am going to be adding the parameter of my width and height here. So I'm going to add my width variable, which is technically 800, and height variable, which is technically 600. Did I spell height wrong? There we go. Okay, now let's add a comma and go with a flag. So the fourth parameter that I need is a flag. If I don't want to add a flag, I could go with 0. But I do want to add a flag that actually makes my window resizable. To do that, I could go with the SDL underscore window underscore resizable flag. Okay, that helps my window be resizable. Okay, next up, after I'm done with that, let's go ahead and whatchamacallit, the fifth and sixth parameter is gonna be the memory address of my window. That's the fifth parameter. The sixth parameter is going to be the memory address of my renderer. To get the memory address, I could use the address of operator slash ampersand for my window variable, and then let's say ampersand slash the address of operator for my renderer variable. Okay, and then once I'm done with all that, let's end my entire function with a semicolon. This function basically now created my window and renderer. Although, what if I'm not sure that I did everything correct or have all the parameters correct? I could add a if statement to check if it was actually rendered properly, or if my window slash my renderer will actually create it properly. Okay, so I could do that by adding something like if not window, if my window was not created properly, or my renderer was not created properly. I'm gonna do something. I'll go with a pair of curly braces, and then let's add something like a standard C error with an insertion operator. That gives me something. What up, guys? There we go. I by mistakenly exited my, closed my my screens, because like I did like click the lock button here. That said, I'll go with a standard C error, and since my error name is big, maybe I'll go in a new line and then add an insertion operator. This is gonna say something like SDL underscore create window and renderer error. There we go. Okay, honestly, guys, the reason the name is pretty big is because I'm saying I got an error for this function, which is basically right here. Okay, that's it. I'll go in a new line, add another insertion operator, and then use the SDL underscore get errors is I'll use the SDL underscore get error function to actually get myself an error. Then I'll go with another insertion operator of a standard end line, ending with a semicolon. Okay, I'm gonna be needing 2 colons here. Okay, now once I do get an error, or if my window or my renderer was not created properly, firstly I do want to quit my SDL. So I'll go with something like SDL underscore quit with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. Then let's go ahead and return 1 saying like something went wrong here. Okay, now that I've created my window and my renderer and checked, and added a if statement to check if they were not created properly, I'm gonna go ahead and do something else. Okay, let's go with something like, okay, do I want to actually automate a circle this time? Maybe I do. So this time let's go with something like circle. So I'll go with something like circle properties. Okay, guys, this is going to be more complicating than a square, but less complicating than the rectangle. For my circle properties, firstly, I could go ahead and, I don't know, maybe create something like an integer of my circle's x-axis, which is going to be 100, ending with a semicolon, and then I'll go with something like an integer of circles' y-axis, which is going to be something like 200, ending with a semicolon. Lastly, I'll go with something like an integer of my circle's radius. Okay, which is going to be equal to 50. Basically, radius is like how thick my circle needs to be. I'm going to set it to be something like 50 thick. Okay, now that I'm done adding my properties, I'm actually forgot. Do I need to add like offsets for circle? I'm pretty sure. Let me actually think, guys. Okay, so once I do add a circle, so I gotta add a for loop for the integer of direction x. Okay, I don't think I need to add offsets. Okay, so next up, let's just go ahead and create a main loop now. So I'll go with something like a main loop. Okay, for my main loop, since I am going to be looking for keyboard controls, I might actually go ahead and create a few boolean variables. The first boolean variable is going to be something like W down while my W is being pushed down. I'm going to set that to be false initially. And then let's go with something like, I don't know, maybe might go with something like S down while my S button is being pushed down. Let's go ahead and set that to be false as well, ending with adding a comma here. Now let's go ahead and check something like a boolean. Okay, let's go with something like a boolean for, let's say, A down while my A is being pushed down. I'll set that equal to false as well. I'll add a comma, go with something like D down while my D is being pushed down. I'm going to set that to be equal to false as well, this time ending with a semicolon. Okay, let's just add it here so it looks a bit better. Maybe I could indent it. I feel the indentation one does look kind of good. Okay, and then let's create another boolean value that is called something like is running. this is going to be set to true initially. Okay, and after that I gotta create one last variable for my event type because I will be needing a variable for like checking what event is currently going on. To do that, I could go with something like SDL underscore event, which is a structure to an event variable. Now let's finally go ahead and create our main loop. So I'll go with something like a while loop of parentheses. Okay, let's go with something like while is running, while my program is running, or while my is running is set to true. I'm gonna do something. I'm going to be adding another while loop, which is technically considered a event loop. This loop looks for my events. From event loop, I'll use another while loop. So it's a while loop inside of a while loop, basically a nested loop. This loop is going to be having a function of my SDL underscore, let's say something like poll event. Poll event basically like looks for currently what event is going on, like what all event did I actually look for. This is going to be requiring a parameter of my event variables' memory address. And then let's go with the proper curly braces. Now let's look for event type. So I could go with something like a if statement. Let's go with if a prof parentheses. I'll go ahead and check something like if my event dot type equals to. Let's go with something like, I don't know, maybe SDL underscore event underscore quit. If my event dot type is quit, I'm gonna do something. I'll set my is running boolean variable to be equal to false, ending with a semicolon. That is gonna be lowercase false. Guys, let me actually drink some water. I feel like I'm kind of dehydrated. Give me a shake, guys. Okay, perfect. So, after I check my event type, let's go ahead and add a few switches. Okay, so to add a switches, I could go with something like a switch with a pair of parentheses. Let's check my switch to be something like if my event.key. This basically means like it looks for my event's key's current key that's being pressed right now. I think that's how we actually read it out. And then I'll go with a pair of curly braces and then add a case. If my case is SDL so if my SDL's key is let's go with something like W. If my W key is pressed, I'm going to be doing something. I'll add a colon here. And then let's set my W down variable to be equal to true because it is being pushed down initially, ending with a semicolon. Then I'll add a break. And then let's go with my second case, which is going to be, let's say if my SDL's key is currently S, then I'm going to do something else. My S down is going to be set to true, ending with a semicolon. And then let's go ahead and add a break. Okay, and then let's go ahead and create another case for my SDL. Let's say if my key is A, so I'll go with key A, add a colon here. I'm going to go with something like A down, which is going to be set to true, ending with a semicolon. And then let's add a break. And then lastly, let's go with something like if my SDL's case is something like D. So if my D is being pushed down, I'm going to go ahead and go with something like D down, which is going to be equal to true, ending with a semicolon. And then I'll add a final break. Okay, perfect. So these are basically the switches for if my key is being pushed downwards. Now I want to add a case for if I like leave my key and now it's not being pushed down anymore. It's like pushed upwards. To do that, let's firstly go ahead and exit outside of my case, which is going to be here. And let's add another. Actually, I'm not going to exit outside of my switch. I'm going to exit outside of my entire event loop because my switches. Not my event loop, my if statement. I need to add an if statement before I add the switch, guys. I'll go with something like if a prof parentheses. Let's go with something like if my event.type equals to SDL underscore event underscore key is down. Is this how we spell it? There we go. And then I'll add a prof curly braces. And guys, let me just copy all this because this switches does go inside my if statement that looks if my key is being pushed down. So I'm gonna do that there and paste my switches here. So my switches is inside of this if statement. Okay, and that ends all the way here. Okay, I think I should like indent this a bit so it looks much better. Okay, now let's go ahead and exit outside of my if statement and add another if statement. So I'll go with something like if is it like here? Okay, I'll go with if a pair of parentheses. I'm gonna this time check for a different event type. So I'll go with something like if my event that type equals to SDL underscore event underscore key. if my key is up this time, if my key is being held upwards, I'm going to do something. Firstly, let's go ahead and okay, hold up guys, should I like actually, should this be here? Does that look good? Okay, so that is right there. Okay, I think it should like be in this place. Guys, I'm kind of picky for where my whatchamacallit parentheses are. That said, firstly, let's go ahead and do something. I'm going to be adding a switch. So my switch, this is going to be lowercase. I'll go with a row of parentheses. If my event.key.key, so if my current key is being pressed, I'll go with a row of curly braces. Excuse me guys. And guys, I do think this should be like indented. I feel that looks like much better. Okay, let's look for a specific type of key now. So let's say if my case is something like okay, let's say if it's something like W down. Actually, what up guys, I'll go with something like SDL's key is W. If my W key is being pressed, I'm going to do something. Let's go ahead and set my W down to be equal to false because my user left that key. It's not being pushed down anymore. I'll go with a break. And then let's go with another case for my SDL's key. If this is S this time, I'm going to add a comma here. I'm going to go with something like S down, which is going to be equal to false, ending with a semicolon. And then let's go ahead and break this. This is going to be down, guys. Let me fix my typo. Okay, and then let's go ahead and add another case. This is going to be my third case. This time, I'll go with something like for my SDL's key is A. If my A key is being pressed, I'll go with something like A down, which is going to be equal to false as well, ending with a semicolon. And then let's go ahead and add a break. And lastly, let's go with our final key. So if my SDL's current key is D, if my D is being pushed down, I'm going to do something. I'll go with something like D down is going to be false. My D is no longer being pushed down. And then we're going to break. Okay, and that's honestly pretty much it for our if statements. Okay, and now I gotta go outside of my event loop. Hold up guys, this is going to be a big one. Okay, so my while loop starts there. So it's gotta end here, right? I think it's gotta end here. There we go. Okay, so it starts there, so it should end here. Okay, perfect. Now, outside my event loop, let's go ahead and add a comment that says something like key movements. So just copy and paste and change true to false, bro. I didn't actually think of that. That's actually genius. I should have actually done that. I would have saved so much time. Just up to say that. Honestly, I appreciate you. Beaver, is that a pronunciation name? That actually means the word to me, guys. Okay, so I'll go with something like movements. Now, whatchamacallit, for my key movements, I'll go ahead and add an if statement and check something. Let's go. Honestly, I want to add switches, but I'll go ahead and add if statements. If my, let's say if my W down, so if my W is being pushed down or it is set to true, I'm going to go ahead and increase or maybe decrease my circle. Okay, so this time I got to go with circles. So I'll go with something like circles as y-axis. Okay, is going to be decreased by my y-axis underscore velocity ending with a semicolon. And then let's add another if statement now. So I'll go with something like if a pair of parentheses. If my S down, so if my F down is set to true, I'm going to do something else. Circles is y-axis is going to increase by my y-axis underscore velocity ending with a semicolon. And then let's add another if statement that checks something else. So I'll go with something like let's go with something like A. If my A is currently being pushed down, I'll go with the pair of curly braces. That is going to be subtracting my circles' x-axis. Let's say by my x-axis underscore velocity ending with a semicolon. And lastly, let's go with another if statement. So if a pair of parentheses, if my D is set to true, if my D down is set to true, I'm going to go with my circles as x-axis and increase that by my x-axis underscore velocity ending with a semicolon. Okay guys, that was a lot. Okay, that said, let's go ahead and add another comment now. This time I'll add a comment to fill my screen. Okay, because I don't want my screen to like be completely black because I won't be able to see anything. Now, I want my screen to be cyan color. To do that, I could go with something like, let's use the SDL underscore set render draw color function. Basically, what that function does is it like sets a color for my renderer, and then I can use that render color to color anything unless I change the color again, to like actually change the color again. I'll go with something like SDL underscore set render draw color function. Okay, and my set render draw color function does require a few parameters. The first parameter that it requires is my renderer variable that I did create like with my Windows local variable. What up, guys? Let's go with something like renderer. Okay, the second, third, and fourth parameter is going to be an RGB value. So my RGB value is going to be 0 to 48 and 255. Lastly, the fifth parameter is going to be an alpha slash opacity. I'm going to set mine to be 255 because I don't want it to be transparent at all. And then let's go ahead and use the SDL underscore render clear function. Basically what this does is it like clears my entire screen by the color that I currently have. This is going to be the color that my render variable has. That is technically these attributes. Okay, and then let's go ahead and end that with a semicolon. Okay, that's honestly pretty much it. Now let's add another comment that says something like graphics. So I'm done filling my screen here. Now I add graphics to fill my circle. But before I do fill my circle, I do want to draw my circle. To do that, let's go with a for loop. So I'll go with something like for every integer of direction x, which equals to, let's go with something like negative radius, ending with a semicolon, while my direction x is less than or equal to my positive radius. I'm going to do something. I'm going to increment my direction x by 1, so I'll go with direction x plus plus, and then go with the above curly braces. Now let's add a nested for loop. So a for loop inside of a for loop. The inner for loop is going to be looking for, let's say, my direction y. I'll go with something like my integer of direction y equals to a negative radius. Okay, while my direction y is less than or equal to my positive radius, I'm going to do something. Let's go ahead and increment my direction y by 1. And then I go with the above curly braces again. Now, before I do draw my my circle, I will be adding an if statement here. So I'll go with something like if a above parentheses, if my direction x squared, so direction x multiplied by direction x, plus my direction y squared, direction y multiplied by direction y, is less than or equal to my radius squared, which is going to be radius multiplied by radius. Then I'm going to do something. Now I'll go with my third pair of curly braces, guys. This time, let's go ahead and draw my actual circle. So I'll go ahead and use the SDL underscore render points function. Basically, SDL does not have like a specific function to like draw circles and color circles like square and like squares and lines have. That said, a point is basically one pixel on the screen that is going to completely like draw a circle because of all these for loops and if statements that I added here. Although this does require a parameter of my render variable. Let's see what all does it require. So my render variables parameter, then a floating point x-axis and a floating point y-axis. So that is basically going to be what up, guys? There we go. That is basically going to be my circles as x-axis plus my direction x, and then my circles as y-axis plus my direction y. Let me zoom out so you guys could actually see that. I don't think you guys could see like half of what I wrote here. Okay, that's it. Then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Now, that draws a circle on my screen. Let's zoom out because I think you guys should see it now. Okay, now under my graphics, let me go ahead and actually set a color for my render because I won't be able to see my circle right now because like it is going to be signed. That said, I will go with something like SDL underscore the set render draw color function. Okay, and then I'm going to set a color for my render. What up, guys? Let's fix my typo. There we go. Okay, and if you guys do want to like see my full entire code, I am streaming horizontally as well, so you guys could like move to the horizontal from the vertical, because like many of you guys did like ask me to stream horizontally too, so you guys could like see my entire window. That said, I'm gonna add a few parameters here. The first parameter is gonna be I'll go with something like my render variable. Let's say I want my circle to be, I don't know, maybe black, so I'll go with 0, 0, 0, and then let's go ahead and add an opacity of 255, ending with a semicolon. Okay, now after I'm done actually adding my graphics, okay, drawing my circle, so I'm gonna go ahead and exit outside of my for loop, which is right here. There we go. And then let's add a comment that says something like present. Now I'm gonna present it on my screen. To present it on my screen, I could use the SDL underscore present function. There we go with a pair of parentheses. This is gonna, okay, it should be render present. My bad. I'm gonna say my render to present a function. This is gonna have a parameter of my render variable ending with a semicolon, and then let's add some FPS. What the hell? Learn some real programming and do some projects. Honestly, I am actually like learning real programming. This is like C++. Okay, that said, for my FPS, I'll go with something like SDL underscore, let's say delay function. I'm gonna delay my FPS by, or like my SDL by 16 milliseconds, which is basically 60 frames per second. And now finally, after I'm done with everything, I'm gonna exit outside of my my for loop, and I'm gonna add a comment that says something like cleanup. It's kind of triggering my laziness. You already have stuff written, just copy and paste it and change values. Honestly, that does make sense, but I feel like the reason I do write it is whatchamacallit, because of practice, because like I feel practice makes perfect, guys. That's it. I don't think I can go on for like much longer. My throat is actually starting to hurt now. Guys, I don't think this is good for my throat. Okay, that said, now let's go ahead and do some cleanup. So I'll go with something like SDL underscore destroy window with a pair of parentheses. This is gonna have my window variable ending with a semicolon. Then I'll go with something like SDL underscore quit ending with a semicolon. Lastly, let's go ahead and return 0. Now, if I hit Control S to save the code, let's see what happens. Let me run the command as well. Okay, it says there was a build error. What up, guys? Let's check where was a build error at. Did I miss something important? Okay, so these are my key movements. That is my fill screen, x-axis, y-axis. I think it's actually pretty correct. That's my FPS. Did I add my graphics correctly? Let me think real quick, guys. I set a color to my render. Okay, and then I draw my object. And then I fill my screen. I add my key movements. It is correct. Wait, let me run the command again. Okay, would you like to continue and run to the last successful build? Boolean unexpected, undeclared identifier, D down. Guys, there are so many errors. Hold up, guys. Let me go with something like a control C. I actually feel like I messed up with my coordinates like somewhere here. Okay, I mean not like here, like with my formula, because I feel like that's the only thing that's hard for me to memorize. Let's go ahead and paste this. Go with Shift Enter and Shift Enter and see something that doesn't say. I feel like I messed up ? Okay, let's see. Okay, oh hell yes, people. I see the chaos you created. Let's rip this apart. Learn Golang. Honestly, I was like really excited to learn Golang. Maybe like someday in the future I will actually try Golang. Okay, instead of just typing, here's the nightmare I spotted. Okay, I added a comma here as down. You can't put boolean in the middle like that. Oh, why did I put a boolean here, guys? That was kind of stupid because like I added commas. Hold up, let's scroll down all the way. Where did I actually create my booleans? I think it's all the way here. Okay, the boolean didn't make any sense here, guys. There we go, because whatchamacallit, this is just a continuation. I could like add this all in like one line as well. I did add a space here so like it looks kind of good. Okay, now if I hit Control S to save the code and run the command. There we go, guys. That was the only silly mistake. Okay, so if I were to get my window here, the moment of truth, guys, does it move? Okay, it does move, but it does not stop. Hold up. Okay, I feel like there's like another tiny error here. I actually might know how to fix that. So if I click a button, it keeps going all the way down. It does not stop. Use JetBrains. Honestly, I did like use JetBrains to download PyCharm, maybe in VS Code. Okay, that's it. Okay, I think I know where I messed up. So, if that is W down, S down, A down, D down. Okay, W, S, A, D. False, false, false. W, S, A, D, true. Okay. Alright, let's read whatchamacallit. It says hold this thing. Okay, key up handling inside key down block. Event.type key down, key up. You're literally saying if key down is pressed. Did I do that? If key down is pressed, everything is set to true. If key is up, it's set to false. I think that is correct, right? Okay, so if event.type is key down, if event.type equals to event.key up. Okay, circle drawing works, but it's ineffective. It's inefficient for learning. A project is fine, but just know in real games you'd want to use textures. SDL learns for buildback. Didn't I do the same thing? Make key down and key up separate checks in the same event loop. Wait, did I add it inside of my if statement? Okay, this is a whole separate if. It's not a whole separate if statement. The if statement ends here, guys. Why did I add it here? Like, let's go ahead and copy that. I think I thought that the if statement ended here, but never mind, guys. I think I was wrong. Okay, so the if statement, it ends here. Okay, I gotta go ahead and paste it all the way here. Okay, you messed up the curly braces. Yeah, honestly, that does make sense because like I added my if statement inside of this initial if statement. So it was like a nested if statement. I should have added it under this pair of curly braces. I added under that. I think that was like a silly mistake, guys. That's it. Now if I to save the code and run the command, let's see what happens. My first window pops up. My second window is here. There we go. Okay, perfect. Now it works perfectly. Okay, although guys, I feel like I shouldn't take credit for this question because I did like get a lot of help at the ending. That's it. Let's go with Control A, Control C, copy that. Let's get some say/chat-GPT here. Let's go ahead and paste. Let's go with Shift Enter and say something like some say. Excuse me, guys. It works! Exclamation. Okay, that said, I don't take credit for this question because I feel like I got a lot of help. That said, I am planning to end the stream right now. So, is there anything that you want to say to the viewers before I end the stream? ? Okay, let's see. Okay, people, listen closely to all my viewers out there. If you think learning something new is easy, think again. These people just turned chaos into control, took a triangle, turned it into a circle, and made it move with his fingers on the keys. Remember, every failure is just a step closer to mastery. Don't fear making mistakes, embrace them if you want to get good. You've got to break a few things and fix them. Now go practice. Keep your hands on the keyboard and stop thinking you're too small to control the screen. Okay, alright, stream can end, but remember people, I'm watching you next time. No shortcuts, hugs and kisses, head pats. You earned them, guys. That did not make me blush. So many errors, guys. I get so many typos. Okay, that's it. Let's go to the main camera. Alright, guys. So basically, that was pretty much it for the stream. That's it. I didn't want to stream for longer, but I couldn't because, like, guys, my throat is kind of hurting from like talking for this long. Because, like, I didn't even write an exam today, so I was already kind of exhausted. That said, maybe after my college, I will start streaming for like 5 to 6 hours like before. That said, if you guys did enjoy the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, like the up to my algorithm. Sharing makes you smile, and subscribing is like a cherry on top. And guys, I did start multi-streaming on Twitch, YouTube, and Turbo. I will start multi-streaming on Instagram and TikTok as well if I did meet the followers requirements. So if you guys do enjoy my content and haven't followed me there, make sure to go follow me there. The link is in the description, and also join the Discord server, guys. The link is in the description as well. That's it. I'll catch you guys in the next live stream or video. Peace.